everybody on these.
All right, the rescheduled monthly meeting of April 30th, final budget adoption to 2020 is called to order at 7:32. Can we have roll call?
Mr. Banta,
Here.
Dr. Cohen,
Here.
Mrs. Frankel, Mr. Itkin,
Here.
Ms. Quackenbush,
Here.
Mr. Rosenberg,
Here.
Mr. Santana,
Here.
Mr. Spindell,
Present.
Mr. Barbarillo,
Here.
Ms. Frankel's not here.
She's coming in any minute. The New Jersey Open Public Meeting Law was enacted to ensure the right of the public to have advance notice of and to attend the meetings of the public bodies at which any business affecting their interests is discussed or acted upon. In accordance with the provisions of this act, the Fair Lawn Board of Education has caused notice of this meeting to be published by having the date, time, and place thereof distributed to the persons on the approved list, posted in the Board of Education Administrative Office, and sent to the Bergen Record and the Star Ledger. The announcement posting for the rescheduled monthly meeting, along with the date, place, and time thereof, was distributed on April 21st, 2020. The items to be discussed during closed work session, if needed, we already had one, of the April 30th, 2020 rescheduled monthly meeting may include personnel matters, student matters, legal matters, negotiations, and/or grievances, and tactics and techniques utilized in protecting public safety and property. The results of these discussions will be made public as soon as possible. Can everybody stand and join me for a flag salute? I have the flag right in front of me.
Okay.
I pledge allegiance
The flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty
and justice.
Justice for all.
All right, Elise is in. Okay, at this point, I'm going to turn the meeting over to Mr. Norcia, the superintendent.
Okay, so this.
Oh, wait, 1 second. Before everybody goes, when you want to ask a question or anything else like that, try to just click on the chat room and I'll see it, and then I can call your name out, okay? Thank you. Go ahead.
Or raise
On
your
the button.
because what I'm going to do, if we don't see, just or raise your hand. I'm going to mute everybody right now so there's no background noise. Only people I'm not going to mute are Ron and Natalie at this point. And I'll get through that in a second. So the room is locked down so nobody else can come in. Natalie, can you say something?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So there's a couple of things tonight before we jump into the board agenda. We have a couple of presentations, a couple of things I want to say. And in addition to that, because we're doing this via Zoom, we're going to continue to take questions in the front part of the agenda on any agenda items, as well as new business towards the end of the agenda. We have poll everywhere set up. I have 2 screens in my office right now so that when the questions come in, I could read them out to everybody so that we can answer any questions. Any questions that do not have a name and address will not be answered because it could be somebody from Europe or California or Alaska asking the question. So we just want to make sure that they're Fair Lawn residents, and we'd be happy to answer those questions as long as they include their name and their address. With that being said, besides the presentation, we have the science assessment test scores that Dr. Lacatino will be giving a presentation. We have Mr. Durso here and Mr. Temi, our science supervisor and our science specialist. Thank you for being part of this and I really appreciate it. I know you can't say anything because I muted you, so thank you anyway. In addition to that, we have the final budget adoption that is on our agenda as well. In addition to that, I'd like to congratulate the 2019-20 Governor Educators of the Year recipients that are on our board agenda, which is really great. I feel bad because right about now, we would be at a luncheon together with every recipient in Bergen County. Last year was our first year that we started attending that luncheon together. again after many years not going. So it kind of bummed out that we couldn't go again this year. But we will acknowledge them. We usually acknowledge them. We've acknowledged them when their names are announced. Tonight's official. They're approved on the agenda. We acknowledge them the first day of school as well. So there'll be plenty of acknowledgements going around, but I just wanted to officially congratulate them. In addition to that, everything that's going on in Fair Lawn, New Jersey, the country, and the world, we know that the coronavirus is throwing us all for a loop. I understand that it's hurting us. It's impacting our lives. Hence our meeting being on Zoom right now. It's there's no playbook for this. We're waiting for a playbook, but we don't have one. But right now, we're kind of flying by the seat of our pants. And with that, I just wanted to say a couple of things. I wanted to thank everyone who plays a role in this coronavirus, in this distance learning plan, in this hand that we have been dealt. I want to thank everybody from our teachers to our administrators, to the Board of Ed, who's here right now giving up your time, to our parents who have become teachers at home. And trust me, I know what it's like because I'm wearing many of those hats at home. To our custodians who are coming in and cleaning our buildings, to our IT, Phil, who's on this right now, who's making sure that this could be live streamed, who's driving to houses and dropping devices off, to our Aramark cafeteria workers who gave out 500 lunches today at Memorial Middle School to any student that came and wanted one, who gave out 500 lunches yesterday at Memorial Middle School, who still come every day to make sure everyone is fed. The list just goes on and on. And from the bottom of my heart, I just wanted to thank you because I know it's not easy. It really isn't. And most importantly, thank you for your patience. This is not easy for anyone. And I just want you to know that I appreciate your patience while we go through this. I know that people are getting frustrated. I'm getting frustrated. I wish I had more answers to give you. It's okay to get frustrated, but you have an avenue. Reach out to us and we would be happy to communicate back with you. I know that everyone is looking for answers and I wish I had them, but just please remember that this was not a local decision. This is a state decision and we were all dealt the same hand at making the best of a situation that we were all in together. There are a few things that I do know. I know that when we hear something concrete, you'll be the first to know. You'll be the first to know. There's a lot of speculation. There's a lot of leaked CDC guidelines that were supposed to come out, didn't come out, did come out. You see things on the news. You don't know the validity of them. But when we have something concrete from the state, we will be happy to share with you. I also know that we will do right by all of our students all the time. Just because you may not be in school, we will still be here for you. We will reach out, we'll send you an email, we'll follow up, and we will communicate with you. I know I will do everything in my power to honor our seniors the right way because they deserve it. What that'll be, we're still working on that on the back end, trust me, but we will honor them. I also know that we will be back in school. The bells will ring again. Kids will come and we'll rise to the occasion like we always do in Fair Lawn because that's the right thing to do and we always do our best to do the right thing. So, I'm sure many people were looking for answers. When are we coming back to school? What's going on with this or that? I wish I had them. I just heard today that there's supposed to be information coming out on May 8th about what does the summer look like? What does summer camps look like? Are there going to be summer camps? So next week, we're being told that May 8th, there's supposed to be information. May 15th, and that just came today because we had a conversation about that yesterday. So we heard that today. We're being told by May 15th, we should hear something from the governor on the status of schools. As soon as we know, you will be the first to know. You'll probably hear it quicker than me because of the media or social media or whatever, but we will be communicating it home as quick as possible. So with that being said, I thank you for your patience as we go through this. I thank each and every one of you. I know it's not easy. I'm hiding in the office from my kids right now because I would not be able to get this meeting in without one of them breaking into the bedroom or the office or somewhere else. So, we are all wearing many hats and I can't thank you enough for it. And don't worry, we will get through this. Thank you. Ron. Actually, you know what? I'm sorry. I almost skipped over the science presentation. Dr. Latina, I will give you the ability to share your screen so that you can share the presentation.
Great. I'm also going to ask if you can unmute Mr. Durso.
I
Because
can.
I'm going to ask him to feel free to jump in at any point if he would like to expand on anything that I'm saying during the presentation.
I am going to, Andy, are you unmuted yet or no?
No, he's not.
There you go.
There
We should
There
be-
he is.
Andy.
Good. All right. So I'm going to share my screen with everyone. With me. Okay, can everybody see that?
Yes.
Okay, so you can see the presentation. Okay, wonderful. Okay, so this evening what we're doing is we're going to be reporting out on the New Jersey science results from last through a little bit of background information about the NJSA assessment, and I'm going to share with you the results for this year, for this past year rather. And it is not advancing.
Click, Natalie.
Yeah.
Click on I had the same problem. Click on it and then try advancing it with your buttons.
There it goes. Thank you.
Okay, because I had the same problem when I did my class.
Yes.
It does that from time to time, just to let you know.
Okay. So a little bit of background. The NJSLA in science is a required state assessment that is given to students in grades 5, 8, and 11. And it's basically just sharing a snapshot in time of students' knowledge of the New Jersey Student Learning Standards in science. It is significantly different from the New Jersey Ask test. The new standards for science are much more rigorous, and the New Jersey Ask test was actually based on memorization of content and facts, whereas the NJSLS test is basically focused on the application of science knowledge as well as science skills. So it's a very different type of assessment. They needed a new test because the standards had changed so dramatically. And the new standards were adopted in 2014, but they really were not required to be put into place for grades 6 to 12 until September 2016. And then K through 5 needed to be implemented by September of 2017. And now last year, for the first time, the state has given us this new assessment, and this year's scores are actually the baseline for the new test. So these new scores are going to look very different from NJS scores. You will notice a big difference in the way our students are scoring. And again, that's because different standards, very different focus of the assessment. So you might be wondering, do students need to pass this in order to graduate? And the answer is right now, our students do not need to pass the NJSLA science assessment as part of a graduation requirement. These scores will be used for CUSAC eventually, but that will not be until the 2021 and 2022 school year. And again, these scores are our baseline. So once we take the test again next year, we can start to measure progress towards meeting those New Jersey learning standards. So let me share with you the proficiency levels. So unlike the NJSLA in ELA and in mathematics, the science test only has 4 levels of proficiency. So we are looking for our students to score in level 3 and level 4. So level 3 students will meet proficiency, and in level 4, they will be showing advanced proficiency in the area of science. If you look at this graph on this page, this chart, you will notice that the cutoffs are slightly different depending upon the grade level. So I just wanted to share that information with you. So this first slide is information and data about our students. So you can see on this slide the number of students that were tested last year. Understand that the number of students tested is actually the number of valid scores that we received. So we had slightly more than 399 students in 5th grade that took the test, but Perhaps a student didn't answer enough questions, or a student never finished the test because he got sick. So in those instances, the state does not score the test. So we had last year a total of 1,191 valid test scores representing the students that took the test. So here are the first set of scores I'd like to share with you. So what you see on this slide is I am showing you in red, if you can see right here, these red numbers here are showing you the percentages of students that scored in each of the levels of the test, compared to in black, the way that students scored across the state of New Jersey. So if you look at this, we obviously want to focus on levels 3 and 4, because those levels are the ones that really show the students that have met proficiency in 5th grade, in 8th grade, and in 11th grade. On the next set of slides, you'll be able to see I added this information together, and you can see how we did compared to the state of New Jersey as a whole. But basically, in grade 5, 8, and 11, we outscored our peers in the state of New Jersey in every grade level. So this chart is showing you grade 5 subgroups. How did our students perform compared to students across New Jersey in a variety of subgroup areas? So the areas we're looking at all students. So in grade 5, 46.9% of our students achieved proficiency, compared to 29.2% of students in 5th grade across the state of New Jersey. Our white students in Fair Lawn in grade 5 outperformed those in New Jersey. The same is true for our African American students, our Asian students, Hispanic, our current English language learners, our students with IEPs, and our students who are identified as economically disadvantaged. So when you look across the board in all of those subgroup categories, you can see how our students performed in 5th grade, the level of proficiency, or the percentage of students that achieved proficiency. And then you can also see in red how they compared to the blue bar, which is New Jersey. This is the same chart, but this is showing you the data for our grade 8 students. So for grade 8, 30.9% of our students achieved proficiency, compared to 19.8% of 8th grade students across the state of New Jersey. And again, when you look across the board, you will notice that there is a trend that the scores in 8 drop from grade 5. That is a trend across New Jersey as well as here in Fair Lawn. And again, you can see that we outperformed our counterparts in New Jersey in every subgroup category. And then these are the scores for our grade 11 students. And again, the trend you will see is that the scores have jumped back up again, not only in Fair Lawn, but across the state of New Jersey. And once again, when you look at all of the red bars, you will notice that our students in Fair Lawn continue to outperform in every subgroup category in the state of New Jersey. We did not have any data for current English language learners in grade 11 for New Jersey. That was not provided, so that's why that is not in the chart. So some notable achievements I'd like to share with you in the area of science. As I already stated, Fair Lawn students consistently outperform the students across the state of New Jersey in grades 5, 8, and 11 on the assessment. And one reason we believe this is because our students very early on in school, starting in grades kindergarten through 5, have a hands-on student-centered inquiry-based program, which is called Knowing Science. This hands-on approach is continued with grades 6 through 8 with the Step Up Lab Aids program. We also in elementary school, each program in grades 3 through 5, we have a STEM rotation that is given to every student every year. And we also have a grade 4 STEM day. Another really positive thing we do in the area of science is we incorporate nonfiction science-based with leveled readers. We do that in grades K through 8, and that helps us to support our special education, general education, and our English language learner students. So we are also covering science topics in other areas of the curriculum. And our middle school and our high school students are exposed to STEM careers. At the middle school, we had a speaker series that was provided for our students, and we have a high school STEM career night for our students. Additionally, our students perform extremely well on our AP Science exams. So you can see the 6 exams here that we give in Fairlawn, and students can score from a 1 through a 5. And the majority of colleges and universities will accept a score of a 3, 4, or 5. 4 and 5 are the highest. And you can see the percentage of students in each of those tests, the percentages of students that scored a 4 or a 5 in Fairlawn compared to the same percentages in New Jersey. And once again, our students do really, really well. If this chart showed the students scoring 3, 4, or 5, we are at nearly 100% in every AP test in science. So what are some of the intervention strategies we use when we need to support our students? Well, one of the great benefits we have here in Fairlawn, thanks to the support of the Board of Ed, we have an instructional science coach, an elementary science specialist, Mr. Temi, and he provides a great deal of content and curricular support to our teachers in grades K through 6. And these teachers don't typically have science content certificates, so he lends his expertise to help support our teachers, which enables them to deliver a really strong program at the lower grade levels. He helps to create opportunities for teachers to collaborate across the grade level teams. And he also frequently goes into the classrooms. He models best practice in science instruction, and he helps assist the teachers implementing science in their classrooms. We also support our special education students. We have different programs to help them based on what's in their IEPs so that they receive the support that they need. And again, we're going back to those cross-curricular strategies that we talked about where we have those leveled readers and additional support in our ELA classes that help our struggling readers and our ELL students. And we have supervisors and coaches that collaborate really well to do that. And finally, we do have very focused professional development opportunities for our teachers where we help provide them with instructional strategies on the science and engineering practices. And finally, our last slide shows where you can find additional information and resources that the NJDOE has provided for us. So there are a couple of websites here if you want to check those out. There are some science practice tests if you're interested in seeing the types of questions that are on these assessments. And the NJDOE plans to continue to develop the resources for educators so that we can become more familiar with this assessment. And that is the presentation.
I'm going to stop your screen. Can you stop sharing?
I certainly can.
So that we could see everybody, so we could see everyone's hands if anybody has. Nice job on your presentation. And does anybody have any questions?
Natalie has a question. I mean, Emily has a question. Emily had her hand up.
Yeah, thank you. This is really helpful to hear the district's progress and also the state of New Jersey's progress. It's so important for our 21st century learners to have this leadership on all levels. I wanted to ask administration, as with other standardized tests that come from the state, I'm not asking that the boards see this, but I'd like to know if administration is able to see this and if you're looking into it, of a more refined analysis than the district as a whole at these grade levels. So specifically, are you able to look at students' performance on subdomains that are being tested by specific questions or an item by item or groups of items analysis? That's my first question. The second, I don't know if you want to answer one at a time. I have three. There's three subgroup analyses. So one is item by item or kind of specific function by function. The second one is if you can look at school by school differences at the middle school and elementary. And the third is even if you can look teacher by teacher, if there's specific teachers that could really benefit from that instructional coach, does this give you data that would allow you to target that resource to teachers who might benefit the most from it?
Nick, you want to answer
The
that?
answer is yes
So-
on all
Okay.
three.
Mhm.
We can see all of that data in the background, and we do indeed look at that. You can look at it according to content and skills, and we can look at it by school, by student. We would have to organize some of the data differently to do it by teacher, but it's absolutely available to us, and we do look at that. We share the data and the information, obviously, with teachers. So current fifth grade, the fifth grade teachers from the data I just showed you will have a chance to see how their kids did and how they did presenting the information. And then obviously that data is also shared with the sixth grade teachers so they can see their incoming students to see where their strengths and needs lie. So we share it across grade levels, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I just thought when you've spoken on this in the past, when you've said that you can look at specific items and then it looks like a school does really well on a certain area and another school might, not, it's the same curriculum, so there's something, so you're using the schools to kind of teach each other different kinds of lessons or delivery, just really drawing on that strength that we do in other areas now. We have it for science to be able to continue and encourage you to do as much of that as you're planning to do. So thank you.
Yeah. You're welcome.
Natalie, I got a question. So what we've tried to do in the past with a lot of the testing is following a grade and watch how they go up. We changed that a couple of years ago when I first got on the board. So I assume we can't do anything with this right now because this is a new test. So we have to wait till we get a couple of years of data, and then we can see how we're moving, progressing. Am I correct?
So correct. This is just baseline data. So we took 2 years ago, took a test, but we got no results back for that test because that was just them sort of taking a look at questions, trying to figure out which ones were valid and such. So this is our first year getting any kind of feedback. And then we will start showing growth and they will start looking at those scores next year as measurements for growth. Remember though, with this science test, it's fifth grade, eighth grade,
and 11th grade.
So we have nothing in between.
Yeah.
So it's harder to do a year to year, but we can see.
Yeah, no, that's right. I forgot.
Next
But
fifth grade.
the other thing is that isn't it mandatory for graduation? Is about the 8th grade they have to pass or is it the 11th grade? Wasn't there something?
Nothing right now.
Mr. Dorso's shaking his head, so correct me if I'm wrong. I'm just asking.
Yeah, nothing right now for science is not a graduation requirement.
Really? I thought there was at one point. No.
They had to take the end of year biology.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, and why did they change this? Why did they change this test? You said the things got different, or what was the reason they changed the test?
The standards have changed so dramatically. Do you remember all the conversation about next generation science standards?
Yes, I do.
The standards changed so dramatically from prior standards that the test was no longer really reflective of what we were teaching.
Okay.
In New Jersey. So they had to change it to match what we were teaching and to also reflect of what we want students to learn. So we really expect a lot more of students now, not just memorizing facts and figures and data. We want them applying the concepts that they've learned and really understanding the engineering practices and skills.
I think that's great because, memorization after a while, especially as you get older, you forget it all. So I think
and we can look it up on our phones.
Yes, exactly.
Easily now, right?
Oh, thank you. Very good presentation. Thank you. Anybody else have any questions? Vladimir has a question. Nick, you want to unmute him?
Yes.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Vladimir, you're on.
Okay, a few quick questions. First, will this presentation be available online?
We will post it on the website, absolutely.
Yes.
Wonderful. And I suppose the results for each town are available on the state website if somebody wants to do research, right?
Yes, it's I can look up what that website is.
Oh, that would be great.
JDOE.
Mhm. Lastly, you compared us to the whole state of New Jersey. Do you happen to have a comparison with Bergen County?
No, I
No.
don't have that.
We asked that too.
Yeah.
But what we did, one of the things, you remember Chad Marcus from Linkit? He presented to the Education Committee. He had reached out to us afterwards, after Natalie and Ron and Andy were done with this presentation, and said, if you need any help afterwards, let us know. So, I mean, literally like yesterday. So it's something that we may look at, digging a little bit deeper if we continue that relationship with him, depending on what lies ahead for all of us.
Thank you.
Okay.
You're welcome.
Wilkin.
Let me unmute you.
Okay, you're live.
Thank you.
Oh, there he goes.
Thank you, Mr. Barbarulo. First of all, I would like to congratulate the district on the positive results. Dr. Lacatina, I am always very appreciative and impressed by your data-driven information and presentations. I'm very happy to always listen to these reports from you. I'm really appreciative of the results, the subgroup results that show all students, but in particular in 5th grade, scoring higher than in New Jersey. That's the one that I was focusing my attention on, because that's the earliest possible grade where they will be assessed in science. So that's the good thing. What I would like to see increase even higher is the eighth grade results for obviously for everybody, but especially for African American, Hispanic, and special needs students, because the scores, although they in 8th grade, although they score higher than the state, if the state average was 10%, and our kids, let's say, score 12%, that's not their best, So I want them to reach for the stars and land in the moon, and I know the district is going to continue doing a very great job, because these are very positive results, and we have to congratulate the teachers.
Yeah,
the teachers are working very, very hard, and the parents as well. If I echo my fellow board member, Dr. Cohen, if we are able to get the results by schools, I would like to know if it's okay by Mr. Norcia if those can be posted in each school website. That way the parents have access to this information with a click, with an instant click, and we can make sure we have this information available on each school website, once.
So, like we've done in the past, we'll be speaking with the principals about how these scores will be reported out. Obviously, you're the first to hear it, but usually how we do it is they report out at their PTA meetings. So when the parents are there and they give these presentations, and then those scores the presentations usually are on the school websites.
2 more things very quickly. I would like to request, if it's possible, if we can receive the subgroups scores on the AP exams. If that is possible, I would like to see if we can see them, if the board can see them. Is that possible?
I don't know if that was that data disaggregated like that.
I'll check. I don't know.
If it's not, it's not, but I would like to know if the
Yeah,
board can.
we'll look into that for you.
And lastly, I think Dr. Cohen was referring to this, and I think this is very, very, very important. If we have a particular standard in the science, in one of the science exam, that one particular school, the very good on, I think we really need to I'm not saying we're not doing it, but this is something that I have in mind that I would like to see. If it's being done, great. If not, I would like to see it, if it's possible. If we can replicate those best practices in, let's say, Linkres in a certain standard of the science curriculum and bring it to the rest of the schools, because, all the schools are great, but one school may be very, very, very good in one particular standard, and they have a certain pedagogy to deliver that standard. And that may, we need to replicate that best practice, throughout the district and allow the science teachers to have time to have those professional discussions, especially to share best practices that are proven with the data. So if Dr. Lagatina or Mr. Norsec can comment on that, I would really appreciate it on that last point I made.
Yeah, that's where we're very fortunate to have Mr. Temi and Mr. Durso. Mr. Temi does grade level meetings with our teachers. So he will gather all of the first grade teachers from across district and work with them. So we do that during the school year, and we also do that periodically on some of our PD days. We have to try to share the wealth on those PDs with a lot of topics, but that's why the after school grade level meetings become so powerful, because it gives us the opportunity to meet with grade level teachers across district. And Mr. Temi's also, and I don't want to keep speaking for you, but Mr. Temi is also in and out of classrooms where he brings that knowledge to teachers during actual lessons as well, where he's modeling some of those best practices. I don't know, Mr. Temi, if you want to jump in and share anything else.
You said it so well, but I didn't want to jump in until you gave the go ahead. But you said it well. Yeah, we will be looking at that data. Mr. Durso and I have already had meetings about the data, and we've looked at it. And yes, we're going to be looking at where we did well, and also where we might need improvement. And then that helps us to kind of surgically target which school or which grade level to work with so that we can continuously improve.
That's great. Thank you. No further comments or questions on this. Thank you.
Anybody else? Any questions on the science scores? No? All right.
There's none more.
Moving on. Andy and Ron, you're more than welcome to stay for the rest of the board meeting, but if you want to go do something else, all the best. All the best. Thank you, guys. Great job. Great job.
Thank you, guys. Thank you for all your work. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Have a good night. Stay safe and healthy, you and the family.
You too, everybody.
Okay. Anything else, Mr. Norcia?
No, at this point.
We're going to go into public comments on the agenda items.
That's correct. I just unlocked the public comments on the agenda items, so we'll give it a couple minutes, and I will do my best to try to rattle them off and read them to the board. On agenda items only. All right, so. Let's give it a minute because there's a couple popping up right now, but I'm going to scroll through. I'm going to let them all come up. Are good? For some reason. 1 second. All right, so there's a couple here. I'm just having a problem scrolling down right now. So I just want to make sure I fix it because I want to get everybody. So we can just bear visual settings. Can everybody still hear me okay?
Yes.
So for some reason, I don't know why I'm just gonna. The questions are popping up, but it's not allowing me to scroll down. So I want to just dump them into a spreadsheet right now if I could. Okay, there you go. Now we're getting there. All right, sorry if I'm not looking at you, it's because I'm looking at the screen to answer the questions. So this one says, I'm going to start in the beginning. Dawn Ebner, congratulations and wish Tom Hotchkiss all the best in his retirement. We started teaching about the same time, and he is a fellow colleague in the phys ed department. He also has been a coach for the district. On behalf of the Fair Lawn Ed Association and myself personally, I would want to thank him for his dedication and commitment to his athletes and the students of Fair Lawn. The next one is, since the state spends a lot of money on COVID-19 and may not be getting all the funding back from the federal government, what plans, discussions has the district thought of to meet the budget shortfall? Isn't it responsible of the district to spend $33,000 on curriculum updates that will need to be updated again, most likely due to remote learning, without knowing what the budget situation will be next year from the state due to COVID-19? Did the state of New Jersey, and this is from Noah Coco, did the state of New Jersey update or change standard in the school year in music or all languages? If not, why did the district spend $33,000 updating the curriculum? Again, isn't the curriculum set by New Jersey standards? Why are we updating the curriculum when we don't really know what the students are learning, retaining during this remote learning? Most likely teachers will spend some time next year reteaching some material, especially in pre-cal, calculus, middle school math, music, etc. Who, how, and when decided on the number of hours for each subject needed to update the curriculum? Does the district pay during regular school learning extra money, meaning something above the salary for teachers to create lessons? If not, then why are we doing it now? Isn't the job of a teacher to create lessons, teach the material, and evaluate students? Why are specialists who are not in charge of students create the lessons? Did the salary from Altea change? If so, why isn't it listed on the agenda? So there's many questions there. I'm going to try to tackle them. One, so we're spending money on the curriculum because the $33,000, because we were going to do that anyway, because we have to prepare for the 5, 6, 7, 8 middle school configuration. And part of preparing for the middle school configuration was revisiting our curriculum and updating it. So whether or not COVID hit or didn't, that was always in our plan and our budget to update the curriculum for next school year. Yeah, could we wait for the summer? Yes, we could wait for the summer, but it's not the recommendation to wait for the summer because we want to rewrite the curriculum and then give the teachers the proper training so that when the students, hopeful, optimistic, come back September, we're ready to go with our curriculum. So that's the reason why we're spending the $33,000. However, what we are doing is we are using funds that we aren't using due to COVID to pay for that curriculum writing now. Number 2. Same question about the $33 and why we're doing it. 3, who and when decides the number of hours? Dr. Lacatina and her supervisors decided what was the right amount of hours that we would need to work on that curriculum. And like I said, we've been working on this for this year or so. Does the district pay during regular school learning extra money, meaning sometimes above the salary for teachers to create lessons? So what you're probably referring to, because I'm sure, and I think I've seen that already in another question, was the other agenda item that has teachers being paid above it. So I'm just going to answer it now if that's what you're alluding to, is those were teachers who, when we rolled out weeks 1 and 2 of the distance learning plan, we really did it in a week's time at best. And the way we did it was we did it while school was in session. And we took about 50 teachers from the middle and high school on one day who created the lessons for the whole entire district. 50 teachers from the elementary school on the second day who worked on the elementary lessons. And then the same thing for child study team and guidance and related services on the third day. School closed. We were hoping this was a 2-week problem. That's what we were being told. It wound up being a long-term problem. So when we realized we had to roll out weeks 3 and 4, we had to go to our teachers who worked on the original lessons and say we needed to update our weeks 3 and 4 lessons rather than have 700 teachers work on those individual lessons at home. Once we decided, and every week we've been making change, we've been learning from our distance learning plan and making changes as we go for the better. Every week, what we decided after weeks 3 and 4 in those lessons, that we were going to then individualize them, and the teachers were going to work on their own individual lessons, so we don't have to pay the teachers anymore. But just because this was something that was thrown at us so quickly, we needed to have those lessons updated for weeks 3 or 4, else there wouldn't be lessons at home for the children, and we couldn't take that chance. Moving up, this is from Tatiana Kaufman. TJ Middle School doesn't provide interactive lessons by teachers related to popular curriculum. The lessons on Zoom should be the same as if the students are physically present in class. Students and parents should not replace the teachers. The distance learning plan definitely needs to be fixed. Having quarantine doesn't mean that students should be given a break to the point where they aren't even learning anything related to the proper curriculum. I'm very concerned for my kids falling behind in their education level. So I will address the Zoom question. It's, or the interactive. Right now, we are, it's at the teacher's discretion. We've been off. This is something, once again, that was thrown at us very rapidly. We've never utilized Zoom or any of these platforms, just like many other school districts out there. There were a lot of things that we had to dot our I's and cross our T's. I mean, we're even leery about having a meeting like this. We read story after story about Zoom bombs and everything else that's happening out there. However, you saw districts who board meetings it's happened to or classrooms. So we wanted to make sure that we gave our teachers the proper training, and they also have the comfort level to utilize this platform. Not every teacher may feel comfortable utilizing this, but also look at technology. We hit road bumps in our meetings like this. I don't know. I know that looking at my own daughter, when she does a lesson at home, it could be chaotic at times. Elementary students all over the place, whose computer doesn't come on, whose technology isn't working. So, we have to, as much as we're embracing technology, we have to be careful of how much we embrace technology. And we also want to make sure that there's the comfort level for the teachers. You are seeing an increase in more Zoom, Google Meets, things along those lines, and I've heard that, and I've seen that personally. And I also believe that's coming with the comfort level and the professional development that we are offering on an ongoing basis. Every week we continue to offer more and more. But I will tell you, I do hear your frustration, and we do take that into consideration as we plan for the next couple of weeks, because it's valid. So we do hear that. Just as many people that ask for Zoom, I get just as many phone calls saying don't use Zoom. So I mean, it's we're trying to find a happy medium for everyone when we deliver the best possible education. Are all AP students required to take the AP test? No, they are. Are they now, Dr. Lacadina? They do have to take it.
One of the expectations we have in Fairlawn is that when students sign up for that class, that they agree to take the test. So that is.
Okay, I wasn't sure. I'll circle back for sure. I thought this new AP exam that they're doing with the distance learning, they had the option, but I'll double check for that and get back to you.
So typically, I'm sorry, Nick. I'm answering on a typical basis when kids enroll in the class. That is the expectation. And now the state, or what College Board is saying now, is that students will have the opportunity to still take it, and they can take it at home. It's a condensed version, much shorter, that they can take from home.
And that was from Anthony Service, if I said your name correct. Alexander Atron. On the budget, during these difficult times, a large population of the neighbors suffering from ongoing crisis, either due to job loss, furlough, business closure, decrease of customer activities, or even bankruptcies. Most local and federal authorities, including engineering boards of eds, are working hard to assist population during these trying times. Most private companies follow this suite. Can Fairlawn Board of Ed consider postponing any expenditure increases until the economy stabilizes? Postponing any expenditure increases until the economy stabilizes. What I will tell you is I don't think this is what you're getting at, but I'm going to answer it twofold. One, I'm not changing the budget that's in front of you tonight, and I'm sure that'll be a question that'll come up. What we are doing is we are scrutinizing everything we do moving forward. So things that we, that's why I just said before, Linkit is one of those things that we had in our budget. We had them present. We love, but it's something that's expensive, and we need to, we're going to need to revisit some of the things that we were planning for next school year, whether or not, depending on what happens moving forward, because this is the unknown we're dealing with right now. We don't know where it's going to come from. So we are going to look at things moving forward very closely. I know my team who's on here, we've been having those conversations day in and day out. What was happening 2 months ago will not be happening 2 months going forward. We need to be very conscious of that. We know at some point, the other shoe is going to drop, and we don't know what that's going to look like. We are not being told. We are just hearing speculations and rumors, but we will be prepared to the best degree possible. We will do everything we need to when we need to. But right now, we need to keep moving forward, status quo. But, as far as looking at things moving forward, we are scrutinizing that. This is from Ina Viner. Why are supplemental teachers not working directly with students? These are some of the most at-risk students. How will this gap be made up? Will there be supplemental programs offered for free or low cost this summer? And there's a couple of things here. I don't know if it's from the same person. No, that was from Nicole Tulo. Sorry. So our teacher, if there is a teacher, I'm not sure if I'm understanding it 100% correctly, but if there is a teacher that you're concerned with that's not working with a student, what I'm going to ask you, if you could just email your principal and reach out to them. If you want to CC me on it, that's fine. So we could follow up with you and understand exactly what you are asking, because sometimes that's very helpful for us to do as well. Will there be something during the summer? That is something that the Department of Education is talking about, and we're working on as well. What we're doing right now is we're looking at all available options that could potentially happen during the summer. where we're talking about what could a virtual summer look like? What could, now I'm talking about like ESY for special education students. What would ESY look like if it was physical? What would it look like if it was virtual? What would it look like if it was in August? So we're looking at all different types of things. With that being said, there's also talk at the state about providing funding maybe to run supplemental programs to help students catch up. We don't know any of that yet, but these are all the conversations we keep hearing and the calls that we're on. So there are talks, and that is a reality, about students where we could help students catch up. So I'm sure there'll be more information coming on that. Given the longevity of, this is from Christine Zingone, given the longevity of the distance learning thus far, what is your position, Mr. Garcia, as well as the boards regarding teachers providing live or recorded instruction for the classes at the lower elementary schools? I understand there is significant variation across the district. Will there be efforts to standardize the requirements for schools and teachers? So I know I answered the Zoom part, so I don't want to repeat that, but at the elementary level, I know that we are making strides towards more interaction. We are having these conversations weekly, if not daily. Hence, that's why we thought it was really important to go to the Google K2 model. It was a tough decision because we knew we were making, everything is new that we're doing at home, and then to add something new on top of it, we feel bad because we know that the parents who are working in that teacher capacity as well, that we have to have you learn something new. But we knew it was a bump in the road that we had to get over, and that's why we rolled out the Google K2. We are continuing to assess this and making changes where we think we need to for the better. So thank you for that. This has no name or address. It just says Fairlawn resident. I'm going to skip over that. This is Yulila Rocktop. Esther Court. Not sure if I can put this now or on the new agenda items. It's very lengthy. It is not sure. I'd like to discuss the current state of the remote learning in Fairlawn based on an informal survey. There seems to be a wide range of experiences by our children. Teachers are doing full daily Zooms. Some offer Zooms. This is again about Zoom. Thank you so much to the teachers that are able to provide an interactive learning experience, either through Zoom or pre-recorded. Children just like adults were abruptly thrust into a remote learning model, and some have adjusted better than others. And since it is likely to continue until the end of the school year, I think I need to once again evaluate where there is room for improvement. I have a few suggestions of other options available. Create a baseline experience where each child is at least viewing 15 minutes of live video content per day by grade. Zoom versus recordings, but at least will set a baseline. It does not need to be for a particular academic subject. This acts as a starting point. Send an email to parents, children that attendance for the Zoom is required if possible. If not, then to view recordings. Make a short Zoom session available during 2 times during a day in case of conflict scheduling issues. To get into the habit of attending Zoom right now, even when teachers provide content, many children do not take advantage because during the first 3 weeks it was not available, so they are not accustomed to this. Teachers that are not already offering Zoom will see greater attendance participation. A benefit to everyone. Teachers that are offering only assignment worksheets via Google Classroom can slowly add more interactive content. No need to leap straight to doing interactive Zoom if there are challenges. See if there is a video already available online of something explaining the concepts. If not, maybe record it ahead of time or borrow from another teacher of same grade level. Thank you. I may pass out from reading that. I don't think that was more sharing some recommendations with us, not as much a question. I do know that you've been in communication with the building principal because I've been on those emails with you. So I encourage you to continue to have those conversations. And I also, we will take this feedback with us because we are taking it very serious and making changes as we continue to go. And that's just the reality. I mean, if you asked me, I don't know anything more than you know right now. But if you ask me, I think, we're looking at probably a September return. So what I'm really getting at is, and don't write that down and Nick knows some secret information because I don't. What I'm saying is that we're probably going to be in this for the rest of the school year, if that is an accurate statement. And we are knowing that, we also know that we need to continue to make adjustments as we keep going. One of the things that I said to our staff when I met with them in person was, we're just about to enter day 1. When we make our plans, think about day 10 and day 20 and day 30. And what will it be like? Not just for the teachers, not just for the students, but for the parents and for, everyone. This whole experience is draining at times for everybody. So we are constantly trying to make adjustments. I know we cannot make everybody happy, but we will do our best to try. That's why, we are, if anybody out there, we're doing anything tech-wise to help out. I feel like the technology has been working well the last couple of months in Fair Lawn in working with the families. I mean, we've been delivering devices to houses for people that needed them. Anything we can do to help. But if we don't know, we can't help. So thank you for your feedback. This is from Ina Viner. Sorry if I'm butchering your names. Can you please address the Board of Ed is planning to fix the issues with the distance learning for elementary school kids? The current situation where there is a total lack of direct communication with the teacher is not working. The reliance of the current plan on the parents is overwhelming and unsustainable. Yes, we are working on that. And just this week, I believe we rolled out some tutorials and some information that could be helpful so that you could have direct communication. So when a teacher, you could get the notifications right away from the elementary teachers, so that if your son or daughter is in a Google Classroom and an assignment is given, before when we first rolled it out, you may not have been notified and that you knew where to go. So we rolled some tutorials out and some helpful things. So if you are still struggling, I ask that you reach out to your elementary school principal, or also you can always email remote-support@fairlawnschools.org. It was an email address that we created when we rolled out this distance learning plan. That's sole purpose is to help parents and students at home so that we have our tech squad or tech guys that work for us who are wonderful, who are answering questions all the time. I'm just going to go in and see if there's any more that I need to. That's all I have here, but I just want to just check. There may be more. There was a congratulations to Sandy. Somebody sent me an email. I just saw congratulations to Sandy Logan on her retirement. Today was her last day. So congratulations to Sandy. It was Brooke's right arm. She will sorely be missed. We actually did a Zoom retirement party with Sandy at 4 o'clock this afternoon, which was very nice, and to wish her well. But Sandy will surely be missed. Today is her last day, official day working in Fair Lawn. She truly deserves it. And that was from Mel Jertshower, wishing her well. Mel's thing came through first, we will miss you at Edison. So I didn't know if I got fired at first, but it was really to Sandy, because the second part came in. All right. So here are some more. Just making sure this is it. All right, has the district reviewed minimizing lighting and heating in the buildings during the shutdown? Also, has the district considered replacing lights with LED? Yes, we did, and we are. Yes to both. I mean, our schools are pretty much shut down at this point. We are monitoring that, and we did start the process of replacing some lights with LEDs. That's correct, right, Brooke? You give me a thumbs up.
Nick, we've had a ton of schools are LED now. Majority of the schools are.
Mm-hmm.
They've been doing that for the last 5 years.
Yes. This one doesn't have a name. Is there still a plan to move forward with ESY?
No name or address. We're not answering it.
No, this is Mel. This one's Mel again. Is there still a plan to move forward with ESY? Is the structure changing due to social distancing? Yes, there is a plan. We're still moving forward with ESY. There's supposed to be more information coming out within the next week or two. Camille has like 10 plans in her head of things. We've been surveying teachers. about whether it's remote or whether it's in person. What does it look like if it's, in August, July? We're looking at every single possibility of extended school year. You also have to think, we don't know what the state's going to say. What the state is saying, and I literally just received it probably an hour before I came to this meeting, was to plan for everything for ESY. Plan for if you had to have a remote ESY, and plan for if you were in-person ESY. So that's exactly what we were doing anyway. So we feel good about that. But yeah, we are looking at everything possible. Let me export these, make sure I got them all, and then we're gonna. All right, so the district lighting, okay, when I exported, the district lighting was Leon Gronowski. We answered that. Eva Feynman, why is it at the teacher's discretion? Ridgewood and Glenrock are teaching full-time. Teachers shouldn't have discretion. You need to figure this out, and it's been 6 weeks. It was an administrative decision that we made that, we had to make a decision on whether or not we were going to force teachers to utilize Zoom, or we were going to not leave it up to the teachers, but work with our teachers and their comfort level on how they want to deliver instruction to the students. We are, once again, we went from one way that we were teaching 5,400 students, traditional in a classroom in 4 walls, to 5,400 students in their dining room, at home, or their living room, or wherever it is that they're being instructed. Not everybody has the technology. We are offering it, but there's people at home who are sharing devices. And we have to be careful that technology isn't the end all and be all. It is a tool. It's an instrument. It's another, thing that we could utilize, but it's not everything. And once, like I said, there are many people out there, Nick, why are you not using Zoom? And then the same people, please stop using Zoom after the articles I read in the newspaper. So, we have to be careful as fast as we are going, that at times we also do need to slow down. And, the comfort level needs to be there as well. There's privacy, there's security reasons why, people may not have that comfort level. And I, as superintendent, need to respect that at times in working with the association and the teachers. We are trying and we are getting there. And you are seeing from day one to now, I think you will see a huge increase in how many people are utilizing that platform. And I am happy to see that. And I have a feeling it will continue to increase. Also, you have to think about the secondary level. If you're at the elementary level and you have Mrs. Smith, you may see Mrs. Smith all day. But if you're at the elementary level and you have a middle school teacher, or at the high school, you have 7 teachers at the middle school or the high school or whatever it may be, those teachers are doing Zooms. If they're doing 7 Zooms a day and students are trying to interact with them. So what you're seeing is a lot of school districts, and we are one of them, are creating schedules so there isn't overlap and people aren't missing. I have to pick which teacher's Zoom I want to go to in this particular time from 9 to 1. So it's not a perfect system, and we're trying to navigate all those schedules at the same time as well. I am not sure what Ridgewood and Glenrock are doing. I do speak with their superintendents. I speak with a lot of superintendents, but right now my focus is on Fair Lawn and what we are doing. Mal, I answered that one. Neha, Baxi, thank you for all that district is doing. This week's free lunches were rolled out, which is great. Any update on what is happening to unclaimed food? Is the district able to donate this, or is it waste? Neha and I were emailing back and forth, so thank you to you and your husband for being so kind in writing to us. We are, and thank you to Brooke and her team, just this week, we received guidance from the state of New Jersey that lunches don't just have to be provided to free and reduced students, that we can provide them to any student that wants a lunch. I'm so pleased at how quickly we rolled this out. Several other districts I spoke with aren't doing it until next week. We received the document on Saturday. We had it up and running by Wednesday. We had over 500 students come for lunch yesterday. Around 500 students come for lunch today. So we are just so pleased that we are doing that. In addition, We did reach out to Aramark, who we contract with, to ask that very question about what do we do with any extra lunches that may have been put out or made that we can't give. So when we have guidance on that, if we can donate them, great. But a lot of times with contracts, liability, giving food out, it could be hard. You often hear stories about restaurants not being able to give food to somebody who may be needy because the liability purpose of their insurance. So I don't want you to think that I'm not being sensitive. We just need to dot our I's and cross our T's as a school district and make sure that it is something we are allowed to do with the state of New Jersey. If we can, we will. All right. There are a couple more, so I'm gonna make sure that wasn't a repeat. This was why, can you discuss why teachers, even Feynman, I think I did this, why all teachers aren't teaching via web-based video system? Can you explain the issues? We've been very disappointed in the home learning experience and feel like the schools have failed us. Teachers can easily teach live and record the classes for the future use. I already answered that one, so I'm not going to repeat it. But what I will say is, please reach out to your school principal and have a conversation with them. The way it works is, if I receive an email, I reach out to the principal, we speak with the supervisors, we speak with the teachers, we have that dialogue going. So, it's important that you reach out and you keep those lines of communication open, because we're all doing it from home. We are all doing it from home. So, to keep those lines of communication open is something that's very helpful for us so that we can, communicate and make sure that we get it down to the proper channels. Julie Mahan. Let's ensure that the district can continue to build on the hard work and success of the past several years and pass the budget to continue to give the students the best that the district has to offer. It is what our children deserve. Thank you, Julie. This doesn't have a last name. Why are videos or live lessons not mandatory at least twice per week for all teachers? I think I answered that one.
No last name. We're not answering it.
No, that was Nicole Tulo. I answered. Okay. I continue to keep answering the same one about the Zoom lessons. Can you please explain the added Memorial Middle School construction project? From David Tratner. I don't know, David. I think if you're asking for an update on construction. It just says, can you please explain the added Memorial Middle School construction project? If you're speaking about where are we at with construction, I'll just answer that anyway. We are still on schedule. We are still, Gene, did you have your hand up? Sorry.
I want to clarify. I think he wants to know about the change order.
Oh, the change order. The change order at Memorial Middle School, we realized that we had to put fire shutters. Is that the correct word, Brooke? Thumbs up, thumbs down. Fire shutters, fire-rated shutters on the outside of Memorial Middle School facing the Passaic River. It was not caught originally in our plans, but if you're on the second floor of Memorial Middle School and you're walking and you're looking at the classrooms on the outside, and you're looking out at the park in the Passaic River, there's a roof underneath you. God forbid there was ever a fire. There's windows to the classroom right there. So we had to put fire shutters to protect that classroom right there and our students. So that's what the change order was on there. It was due to the safety of our students. But we are still under budget at this point. I know that was a question. And we were still on time. Are we moving a little bit slower? We were ahead of schedule, so that was good news. But yeah, of course, we're moving a little bit slower because, supply houses, getting material, if one guy may be sick on a crew or knew somebody that was sick, they may stay home for 14 days. But we're on schedule, and thank God we are still working. So hopefully everything, fingers crossed, stays status quo with that. That is it. Those are all the questions I have. I did 23 of them. So now I will, let me see if I can just go back into it. All right. Now I will, if any of them, I think we're good at this point. If any of them pop up, I will let you know. But I think, there was 23 of them and I'm out of breath. So I'll turn it over to the board comments on any agenda items at this point. I'm going to unmute
Gene.
And now.
Yeah, Ron, I want to say something about the budget, which is page 22, F5, right? Yeah. I know, listen, the die was cast for this budget when we passed the referendum in March 2018. The die was cast. The community showed its overwhelming support by 20 percentage points passing a referendum. We all knew the approximate tax impact in 2018. So this isn't a surprise. This isn't something we didn't know about. We got the bond, which I think, Ron, it's $9 for the bond. And then
that's for 3 referendums. That's for 3 referendums, yeah.
So I think that we have to make clear that there's nothing we can do about that. We have to pay the bond. And the rest of the money is overwhelming majority of the increase is for the new staff that we need. The new staff for the middle school, the guidance counselors, the assistant principal, and we're hiring, I think, half a dozen more teachers to hopefully get rid of soft borders. So the calls for no tax increase during this crisis is understandable, but it's not realistic. And I feel bad for anybody that has these issues, and I'm one of them. But we can't stop now. We're at the 2-yard line. We have to get this budget passed. We have to do what we have to do. And if there are going to be savings, and I know there will be based on the 12 or 14 weeks or whatever it is that there's not going to be in school, when that's all said and done, I know that Nick and Brooke and everybody else is going to look at the numbers and say, hey, look, we saved X amount of dollars here and we can do this with it. And hopefully, we'll use it towards next year's budget and reduce the tax impact next year. But I don't think there's really anything you can do this year. And I know some other districts have done it. And I know some other, but I don't know their particulars. I don't know what Jersey City did. I don't know what some town 1/3 the size of ours in Warren County did. But we have to take this to the finish line. And that's my opinion. Again, I feel bad, but we're the Board of Education. Our first priority is making sure that we give these kids a thorough and efficient education and that we do everything that we can to make sure that they get that education. So that's my comment on the budget, and thank you.
Anybody else? Cindy?
Thanks, Jean, for that comment. I agree with about 98% of what you said, not that I disagree with 2%. So I'm not going to repeat what you said, but I just know that we are working going forward with unknown numbers. We've got a dollar amount of what we would receive for state aid, and God willing, we will still obtain that amount. I am very fearful that we may not retain that amount. Our budget was built using that amount. The savings that are going to come across the board, and I'm sure that there will be, I'm sure that there will be aid that we are able to get. How much is unknown. And that's why I feel that we can't change what we have right now, because we can't work with unknown. We have to move forward with the dollar amounts that we have, and we know. I trust the administration enough to know that if there is any way that they will be able to put back tax relief, they will. When we received aid last year, that was their first recommendation. And I know that we were laughed at for doing that, but it wound up helping us this year. So I'm hoping that the same thing will happen next year. But to try to reduce things when we don't have concrete numbers, I don't think is responsible. And that's all I have to say. And congratulations, Sandy. I wish you a lifetime of happiness.
I don't have a gavel, but I'm just passing the gavel. Just a point of information, as I see Elise. Just 1 second.
No, I have the gavel.
Oh, okay, you got the gavel. Okay, just a point of information, as Jean stated, that these are 3 referendums over the last 20 years for expansions, all-day kindergarten, so on. So that's built in that the public voted on. And we knew what was coming. We knew the tax impact on it. People compare us to other districts. Jersey City is a whole nother ballgame. They are totally different funded from the state as many other types of districts, Abbott districts that they're considered. So you can't compare it. As far as surrounding districts, I know somebody made a comment about Ridgewood. Well, they might want to do a little research because Ridgewood's taxes, and they're going out for referendum, and their taxes can almost go up $300 a year if everything goes through. And lastly, you know, people saying other people taking pay cuts and everything else like that. The only way our teachers or administration or anybody, they would have to be willing, and that's contractual. They have to do that as a group. We can't cut their salaries. They'd have to be willing to do that. So, you know, to sit here and just go say the board should do something like that, we have nothing to do with that. With this budget, you're adding all new staff to try to solve problems. So out of $13, you got $4 additional for all this new staff that you're adding to help our children. And I understand everybody is struggling. I have people in my house not working also. We're all struggling. This is a tough time. But you know what? Like Cindy said, if we do cut something and then God forbid our aid is cut, we could be left shorthanded. And the last thing we want to do is cut staff and programs. But if that's what's going to need to be done and people want it, then they can't complain if we don't have the staff and the programs for the kids to survive on. Thank you. Anybody else on the agenda items? Okay. Emily.
Wait, I have to unmute you. You're mute. I unmuted everybody.
Okay. Sorry, that was my fault. Sorry. Thank you. So I'm going to speak about the budget, and then I also want to speak on one other item on the agenda. So first, regarding the budget, I just want to clarify that a big bulk of the tax increase is for referendum construction. That is the second half of what we agreed on, plus the other obligations we have. But it's not just the referendum that's in there. I think me personally have no reason not to believe that state aid will be cut at some point for districts. And I really am happy that the administration is saying that they're planning for, you know, things for the future to be able to make a dire situation less terrible and to soften the blow of that. But I just want to encourage everybody to keep in mind that I can't anticipate that there's going to be any movement toward sparing taxpayers next year by cutting things in the future. I would anticipate that the cutting things for the future is going to be in anticipation of reduced state aid and just trying to maintain. That would be my own sense. I understand that there are contractual issues. I'm part of a contractual bargaining unit myself, my work. I understand that has to be protected, but there are other pieces of the budget that aren't contractual and that can be looked at and are being looked at. And I believe that fundamentally, Board of Education is responsible for delivering the best educational programs possible at the amount the community can afford. And when we took our first vote and put this budget together, the context for what our community can afford is fundamentally different from what I believe it is today. And even if we wouldn't be able to cut enough to make a real impact on people's lives in terms of the financial obligations that they have under very austere circumstances, I do believe it would behoove us as a Board of Education to acknowledge the hardship by reducing even just a little bit, to recognize that when we took our first vote on the budget, it was different times than the times we're facing on the second vote. I personally abstained on the first vote on the budget because there was a question about the monthly tax increase that I didn't get sufficient information on and didn't feel like I could vote on at that time. I got the answer to that question, was fully expecting to vote yes this time. And then this economy happened. And I just feel in good conscience that, you know, we will likely get some small, but some federal aid through the CARES Act for students in need. We budgeted some extra local taxpayer money to cushion for COVID-19 unanticipated expenses. At a minimum, I believe that federal aid should be reduced from the amount that we're asking the taxpayers. And just as, you know, any additional aid we get from the state or we say from the federal government will go back to the taxpayers, we should actually implement that spirit of saying that that's what we're going to do. And we have an opportunity to do that now. And I think that that would have been a reasonable thing for us to do out of respect to the community of Fair Lawn of what's going on. So I am pending further discussion. I'm likely to vote no on that item. It makes me very sad, but I feel like that's the right way for me to vote under the circumstances. I have comments on a second agenda item, but I am mindful of my 5-minute time. So I spoke on one agenda item, just point of order. Do you want me to come back in line for my second point or
No, just go ahead.
No, go ahead. You can go.
Okay. So the other issue on the agenda is that I wanted to comment on is S3. I don't know what page it is, but this is the emergency closure plan. I guess
Page 7, I think, or something.
Page 7. Okay. So I just want, first of all, clarification on what exactly this motion is, because looking at it on the agenda, it doesn't make sense right now. The title of the motion is Motion to Approve the District's Emergency Closure Plan. But then the motion reads that the board approves a motion to deliver remote instruction to students to meet the 180 school day requirement, which was previously submitted to the Department of Education on March 19th and implemented since the district's closure on March 16th. So I have some concerns about the plan itself that we're being asked to approve to be submitted, but I don't have any issues that we approve a motion to deliver remote instruction to meet the 180 school day requirement. So I'm confused on what it is we're voting on in S3, the way it's written on the agenda.
So the plan is to, the emergency closure plan is part of what we had to roll out to meet the 180-day requirement. And Paul, at any point, please jump in and correct me. But, you know, the plan, I always talked about the plans in the plan. You know, we have to do plans on a weekly basis, make sure the remote distance learning is working and sufficient for our students. And then we have the overall plan. That's what this is. What the Department of Education has said was, you need to create this plan for the district. And we had like 2 days to write this 20-page document for this plan and put together on how we were going to go about doing it. Well, we did that. We submitted this plan to the Department of Education. They said, Nick, Fair Lawn, make some tweaks here or there. We think, you know, there need to be some adjustments. We did that right away. They said, okay. Now the Department of Education came out and said, we want these plans now just to be officially board approved. Not, but with the understanding when they want it to happen sooner rather than later. With there's no due date, because I know that was a question, but they're saying we don't think you should be putting this off. This was the plan that you gave us in March. This is the one that we want you to approve at the board meeting. Really just, the district has a plan. They're not approving, they're not saying, denying it, but they need a plan on file that we actually have an emergency closure plan. With that being said, because that's what I called them after there was questions, and I spoke with them about 2-3 hours ago. That being said, they said, this is a fluid document as well. Since that, we have changes, and we know that we've made changes since day one. We have all those changes, and that we are going to update our plan that include things like, for example, the remote learning of new content per district guidelines, participation in professional development on various teaching platforms in order to bolster student engagement during the closure, providing lessons via Google Classroom Zoom sessions or Class Dojo. Education special ed teachers will also post adaptive lessons via Google Classroom, Class Dojo to address specific needs. Virtual lessons via Zoom may also be provided. It goes on and on the changes that we made since then. So we're making changes. So they just want a plan that was approved by the board. They just want the board to say that there is a plan. They're looking at what's in the plan, but you know, they said this is a fluid document that we know every week you guys are reassessing and you're making changes as you go, and that's fine. So you don't have to approve this every single time. You just approve the overarching plan that we have, that we do have a plan to meet the 180-day requirement for remote learning. Is that accurate, Paul?
That's accurate. That's right.
So the motion is to approve that there is a plan that exists. It's not that we actually support the plan that we're voting on, Paul.
Well, you are essentially approving the plan as it was submitted. It's maybe a matter of semantics, but you are approving this is the plan that the board is saying, at least at one point in time, at a snapshot, was the basic plan that we had submitted essentially for our closure, with the understanding that that plan is going to get tweaked and adjusted. But it's really, there's a phrase that we use in the law, Latin phrase called nunc pro tunc, meaning now for then. So essentially you're approving now what was really submitted at that point in time as a snapshot, just to say that the board is literally on board with what was submitted in terms of the plan that was approved by the DOE, and we're behind it with the understanding that this is not a fixed document. This will
Also, this is also the plan that I shared with the board as well. And I know that you know this, but this was provided to the board when we closed as well, when we rolled out the distance learning plan. So, everybody's had this for the last 6 or 7 weeks or whatever it has been. But I do know that, we're well aware that there's changes that need to be made in it. I mean, we have them. We've been talking about it. We're going to continue to update it. The Department of Ed is aware of that. But I felt in good conscience, the original plan should be the one that's on here. And then we're going to continue to make changes in this fluid document.
Okay, I'll come back for my second turn and give someone else a chance to speak.
I do want to speak about, the budget real quick. I know we are in tough financial times. I understand completely. I know it's different than when we rolled out this budget, and I've explained this many, many times. Even when we did our budget presentation, we did not put much in the budget. We could have went up to $23, $24 a month. We kept it as low as possible. We cut central office, cut over $1 million, where we felt that we could trim to help keep this budget down. The only thing that was included in this budget, besides the referendum, was hiring teachers for the referendum, hiring teachers to stop overcrowding, which is what everybody's been screaming for years, hence the construction, adding additional one-to-one devices. I think that's it. I don't think there was much. I mean, so what I'm really getting at is if the shoe does drop and they do cut our state aid, at least we can look to see what we can work with. If we cut now and we reduce this budget by, just argue, $1 million, couple $100,000, $1 million, and then the state comes in and says, now we're reducing you by another couple $1 million, and we're taking your surplus, and there's no X aid, we're really going to be in a bad place. And it's not that far-fetched considering it happened years ago. So keeping the budget the way it is now, and not just keeping the budget, but I'm actually proud, and I'm sure I'll get crucified on Facebook for this, but I'm proud that a couple of weeks ago or a month ago, we said, hey, we see this coronavirus train coming. We need to put $500,000 in contingency fees into this budget to help us, such as for technology for students at home. And things that are going to come up like lawsuits and helping for special education or whatever else may be out there, cleaning of the schools. So I'm really proud that we put this money in there because we need to be prepared for when that other shoe does drop. So I know that people may think I'm being fiscally irresponsible. I feel like I'm being fiscally responsible. Every other district that I spoke with, I'm not talking about Jersey City because I saw the article, but I think that's you're comparing apples and oranges with us in Jersey City. But I think it's important that, we stay the course with what our plan is, because if that other shoe does drop, we didn't just cut it $1 million and then they just cut us $2 million on top of it, because you were talking about really decimating Fair Lawn at that point. So that's why I think it's important that we keep the level of education right now. And if the shoe does drop, we will be in a better place to figure it out than if we cut it ourselves and then they cut us on top of it. So that's my stance.
Anybody else with their hand up on any agenda? Mark.
Yes, I just wanted to make a comment on the budget. My heart does truly go out to all those families who are having financial difficulty at this time. And I was quite ambivalent about how I was going to vote on the budget. However, after last evening's meeting with the education department, with the education committee, as well as speaking to Nick privately, there were some real main concerns that struck me. And I realized that this budget was constructed a few months ago, obviously prior to the COVID-19. And I'm just concerned that we may not have enough money to prepare ourselves for the upcoming year, even though there are substantial savings that I'm hearing about for the teachers not being in the classrooms. There may be some major concerns that we're going to have next year when we do open the classrooms. And I'm just hoping that we are able, as was said before, that we can provide the thorough and efficient education and the best education possible for our students. So with that in mind, I am going to be voting for the budget. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. Vladimir.
Hello. First, just a question about the agenda. I see on the agenda there was one second. There was under superintendent reports and comments, there was a final budget adoption. I'm not sure if there was an intent to give a presentation on this or no. So
no, the presentation was done earlier in the month, and then it was done previously. That's it.
Okay.
Let's just vote now. Just vote.
Okay. Another quick question. We are approving minutes from prior meetings. So
I'm going to take care of that when we get to the minutes. I got the addendums ready for it.
Okay.
I'm already out of here.
Vlad, I'm sorry, real quick. Prior to the meeting, I sent those adjustments.
I know you sent them to Vlad and me, but we couldn't send it to the board. I know how to do it with Robert's rules. I'll make the amendments. I'll have it done. I'll take care of it. I got it all set. Go ahead.
Okay. Ron, you also will take care of Cindy's suggestion from last meeting, right?
Excuse me?
You also will take care of the excellence.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, wonderful. Nick, did you have a chance to figure out whether we get paid or we pay for internship?
So yeah, I had said, I also sent you that email right before the meeting. I didn't expect you, I didn't know if you were going to get a chance to read it. I know it was last minute, but we're just waiting. The paperwork is here in the office. So nobody's obviously here. So we just have to check to see what our relationship is, but I will report that back out to the board, and that's common practice. But I will definitely get you that answer.
Okay, thank you.
Won't have it by the time you get to that agenda item.
Okay, now our favorite, the budget. Initially, when we were presented with the budget on March 5th, I was fully supportive of the budget. We have to pay our debt. There are other items on the budget that we need. It was a very good budget. And as you put it, Nick, it was put a huge dent in the soft borders. That's what everybody wanted. It was a wonderful budget. Well, we all know what happened since then. Since then, we have coronavirus, and there was another $500,000 addition to the budget, which is like a 30% increase to the initial increase. And I just am not convinced that we need all this money, given that we have savings, and I'm just not convinced that we need that extra money.
That's your question or comment, Vlad?
It is my comment. It is not a question. It is just a comment.
Okay.
Which explains why I was on the budget.
Okay. So you're talking about the additional 500 they put aside for the COVID-19. Is that what you're talking about, if I'm correct?
Yes, this is what I'm talking about.
Okay.
I'm not convinced that we need all this money.
Okay, thank you. No problem. Anybody else got their hand up? Wilkin. Got to unmute him, Nick.
Oh,
unmute him.
I thought I unmuted everybody.
No, you didn't.
No.
Okay.
A bunch of people.
Emily
I
still.
could test here, see technical problems.
I'm not
Okay.
getting
Thank you, Mr. Norcia. Before I speak on the budget, I would like to request, if it's possible, that the board be provided with, if the district has this information, with the up-to-date savings on utility that we have, being that the schools are closed, the lights are off, and there's the water's not being run, in the bathroom, all of that. We'd like to know how much have we saved in utility costs compared to last year, you know,
So,
yes.
So I've had this question asked several times, and I use this example, which is factual. We closed school March 16th, give or take, right around there, but we were still here until, people were still in the building, custodians were still working, teachers were still coming in, getting supplies, students were out of here. But so for the better part of March, the schools were open and the lights are on until we went really bare bones and work from home. So we're really only talking about the month of April. Today's April 30th. So we didn't get our April bills yet of how much we're saving yet. So everybody just needs to be a little patient, and I appreciate that. I know you are. So you just have to give us a little time so we can see how much we saved from April. We're not going to see much from March, but we're hoping that we see something from April. But we are keeping tallies on that, and we will report out when we have those numbers.
Yes, of course. I didn't mean for the savings numbers tomorrow, whenever the district has them.
Okay.
I would like to know if the teachers at all grade levels are required, expected, or encouraged to provide feedback to students.
It's an agenda item. Is this an agenda item? We're talking about the agenda.
We're on the agenda. We have an item to pay teachers for developing this plan to create lessons.
Okay, so
being
that's
that the kids are work on those lessons, I would like to know if feedback is something that teachers are expected, required, or encouraged to provide.
But that has nothing to do with the agenda item.
Okay, I go. It's fine, Mr.
I'll
Norton.
answer it.
I
Yes.
will email you the
Yes.
question.
No.
It's fine. It's fine.
I'll answer. No, it's okay.
Let him answer the question, Wilkin. He said he'll answer it. Let him answer the question.
Okay. Teachers have to provide regular feedback.
Okay. It was a very simple question. I know there are parents that, they're very fan of Zoom. And you have parents that are very cautious of it. I agree with the approach of having a balanced approach on that. And just to provide some positive feedback, many parents have expressed to me that they like the new format of the Google Classroom, that it enables the students to work more independently, and it has cut the workload from like 6, 7, 8 hours on the computers down to like maybe 4 or 5, and the kids are actually more independent, and the way to submit the lessons have been very helpful to them. Now, on the budget, we need 5 board members to vote no on the tax increase tonight. We need 5 of us to say no to the tax increase. The tax increase in this very difficult time is probably the worst thing we can do. There are many people who have lost their job and that are sick also at the hospital, and people that have the wages reduced. So I agree with many neighbors that are suffering and who are unemployed, and the tax increase is not the right thing to do. The federal government, the state government are providing relief to people. It's only fair we do the same. And people are choosing between paying their mortgage and buying groceries. It is not responsible to hit them with a tax increase. I believe we have to be being reactive is looking at the budget moving forward. If we have a proactive approach, we will be doing something about the budget now, because everybody knows, everybody who has turned their TV on knows the state is advertising to anyone that will listen that cuts are coming. I mean, it's even a blind man will know that this is coming. And
Is that
You know,
beeping, Les?
people who do not have any financial hardship, they are the lucky ones in Fair Lawn. They are the lucky ones. We do have areas in the budget that we can reduce. I'm on the Board of Ed, and we have areas on the budget that we can reduce, but we need 5 board members to agree to that. It is not a surprise. It is not a surprise. It is not a surprise.
Time is
You
up.
have 1 minute. You have 1 minute left.
Can I?
No, it's time. It's been 5 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah, can I finish my statement real quick?
You got 30 seconds to finish.
Well, Dr. Cohen was allowed to extend.
No,
her.
she wasn't. No, she was not. Okay, she was not. We let her finish her first statement. That's it. She's waiting for a second question.
Okay, I will
We
wait
said
for
5 minutes. We set the rules. Okay, just get your comment. That's all.
Okay, please lower your voice. You don't have to.
I'm not yelling, Wilkin. Okay, please stop that. Okay, I'm tired of you accusing.
Okay.
Let's go.
I will continue my statements on my second round. On my second. Okay.
Anybody else need to speak? Elise, and then I'll go to Mike.
So I just want to say that sitting on the Board of Education, sometimes you have to make very difficult decisions. And I don't know if the state's going to reduce the aid. No one knows if the state's going to reduce the aid. I'm not sure what could be done if we vote for this budget and it passes, if something happens with state aid, if adjustments can be made internally at that point in time, where money that maybe if we were going to buy 1,000 reams of paper, we only buy 900 or so, you know, and save those dollars. But I think it would be fiscally irresponsible for us to not vote in the budget that we prepared to vote in. The coronavirus wasn't what it is today, but was sort of fermenting as the budget was getting to its last legs. So we were somewhat aware that something weird was going on. And I just think that we have a plan. We should stick to the plan. And in the future, if things change, then and only then should we make changes to what we're doing going forward. I understand concerns for people that live in town. We could have gone to the 2%. We stayed under that. That's allowed governmentally. We were being uber responsible at that point. I just think that I'm very aware of some of the hardships in town because of my work, and that is being addressed. But I really feel like there's, you know, how many students in our schools that need to get their education. And I think next year, because of this, it's going to be even more difficult to move students forward. So I think if we start to, you know, piecemeal cut the budget now, that would just create additional problems in the future. So I think that the more responsible thing would be to address problems as they arise, being aware, as we all are, that they might arise. I'm going to vote for the budget as it was presented.
Thank you. Mr. Rosenberg.
First of all, before I talk about the budget, I want to congratulate Mr. Hotchkeppel on his retirement, because he is a staple at Memorial, and he was on the original. If I'm not mistaken, Natalie, you can correct me if I'm wrong. He was, you know, with the character education. He was involved with the original character education at Memorial, which was nationally recognized. He was actually involved in every aspect of Memorial Middle School and the borough as well. The Hotchkeppel name is very well known in the borough of Fair Lawn. So I wish him a happy retirement, even though I wish he wouldn't go. You know, Sandy again, but I already said that, and it's not a motion, that it's not on the agenda tonight. As far as the budget is concerned, I do think we need to be proactive and being proactive and not reactive. If you were reactive, you would be reacting to today's economic conditions. I think we need to be proactive. Next year is a big, monumental year for Fairlawn schools. I think it's the biggest year we've ever had because we are moving a grade up to the middle schools that wasn't there before. We're changing the middle school configuration. We're changing the 6th grade to meet that as well. That has to happen. Those teachers have to be hired. Forever. The biggest thing we have to do is reduce class sizes in the elementary schools. I think the fact that we're going through this virus right now means that it's even more important to reduce class sizes in the elementary schools. So I am for adding those 6 additional teachers to the elementary schools. I think it would be irresponsible not to. I do realize that we are saving money, but we are also losing money because depending on what happens, and we don't know that, this is an unknown, with camps this summer, camps, we make money, we get revenue from camps. We get revenue from before care, after care. That isn't happening right now. So yes, we're saving money, but we're also spending money. So it does cost us money to do this. I am in support of the budget because we need to get this done for the kids of Fairlawn. We need to provide this great education, and the plan that the administration came up with for the middle school, I feel is extremely sound. And I am in support of the budget for that reason. And I know that if there are savings, that we will be giving it back to the people of Fairlawn and to the kids of Fairlawn, as we have always done if there was a surplus in the budget. So I'm going to support the budget tonight.
Thank you. Emily, are you ready to go again?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay, so I'm going to share my further thoughts on S3 about the motion to approve the district's emergency closure plan. So as we all are well aware as board members, it's our responsibility not to run the district, but to make sure it is well run. And as I look at this plan now, I hadn't looked at it when it first came out because we weren't being asked to take a vote on it, but as of last night, we're being asked to take a vote on it. I look at that document and it doesn't reflect how well our district is being run. There's no need to rush to vote on it right now other than to check the box and give the kind of rubber stamp to do some bureaucratic function and just move on. If we want to make sure the district is well run, I would like to make a motion. Oh, I should have just made the motion first rather than the rationale, right? Well, this is the preamble for the motion, would be to table it. Table it if the state really doesn't say we need it, in a week or something, or there's no real deadline being imposed upon us. Why not have some time for us as a board to take a look at it, be able to ask Nick questions, which I have done today. Admittedly, there wasn't really time to get the full answers to all of my questions, but others might have questions too, to make sure that all the board members' questions have been addressed, and then to be able to take a real vote on an updated document that truly does reflect how well run the district is being under the circumstances today. I think there is a good chance that distance learning will be with us for some time, that this isn't just a temporary thing, that we could go back to school in the fall and then there's another uptick in numbers and we're back into distance learning. So as a board, it's our responsibility to make sure that the distance learning is being run well and to have a document and a plan submitted to the state that reflects that we all feel it is being well run under those circumstances. And if this were just kind of a temporary thing that I thought was just very circumstantial for today, I wouldn't make the motion. But because I think that there's a good chance distance learning is going to be part of our district's lives and our children's lives and our teachers' lives, another personnel for some time to come, I'd like to just ask to make the motion to table that item to give us more time and to update it and to vote on the updated version that administration already is working on.
Okay, so you're making a motion.
I'm making a motion.
Okay, so you're making a motion to table the thing about the distance learning plan, S3. I need a second motion.
I'll second it just for discussion.
All right, Mark seconded. Okay. Any questions on the motion?
I have a question, Paul.
Okay, Gene's
It's not
up.
to table the motion, right? It's not to table the item, it's to postpone it.
Postpone the
I mean,
vote.
technically, I'm construing it as a motion to postpone indefinitely at this point.
Okay. Okay, I just
We
want to
don't
be
know
clear.
when it
Thank
will be
you.
coming back in, and I was about to say that I believe is the intention of the mover.
Actually, okay, so can I revise based on legal feedback?
Sure.
Okay, I would like to postpone until our May 28th board meeting and then have it be on our May 28th
Well,
meeting for a vote.
now you need a second on that motion, and then we got to vote on that motion, then go back to the first motion.
Or if we want, we could just say if it's acceptable to the seconder and to the board. as a
Yes,
whole,
if it's
we can
acceptable to the
shortcut it.
second, exactly.
So I just want to clarify, and I know we're in the middle of motion, and I spoke with the Department of Education yesterday. I was on a call with the Commissioner of Education yesterday where they asked us to have this approved. And I spoke with the Department of Education again after the questions were asked of me today, and they said you should have this board approved. We're going to be a full month now.
Mr. Garcia, if I might, we're in the midst of a request to amend the motion.
Yeah, you can't.
Let's let that occur first, and then we can pick up right where you were.
All right, so I need a second. I need a second on Emily's second motion.
I will second that just for discussion.
Okay, so we have a second on that.
I was trying to second it. Okay.
All right, well, he seconded it, okay? And then, Mark, are you willing to remove your second from the first motion?
Yes, I am.
Okay, so now we're just voting on the second motion to postpone the vote on this S3 till May 28th board meeting. Am I correct, Emily? Okay, Emily said yes.
Okay, so that's
that's what we're discussing. Any questions on the motion?
I think we should return to Mr. Norcia, before he was so rudely interrupted.
Now, Nick, you can make a comment on the motion.
I'm just saying, we're going against the guidance of the Department of Education in the state of New Jersey, and I spoke with them today on this, and it's not my recommendation, but it's up to the board. And I'm just, I had said that this is a fluid document. We know we have changes that we could add to it and make to it. And, the administration has been working with the county office on that. But, pushing this off until the end of May, it's just, to have another conversation about it at that point, it's just not my recommendation, but I'll leave that up to the board.
Mr. Barber, may I be heard?
Yes, you can, Mr. Green.
Thank you. I happen to agree with the superintendent. I mean, we're dealing with, state bureaucratic agency here that essentially has asked us to approve something that's already been submitted, not to approve something that it will be improved. What I frankly recommend the board do is approve this so that we do check the box. We just basically satisfy the Department of Education's bureaucratic request, make them happy, and then we can vote and adopt a revised document at the May meeting. So in essence, we approve what was submitted originally. We can then certainly work to improve that and adopt the secondary, more refined document in May. That way, we basically don't have them on our backs, frankly. We have enough things to deal with without having the Department of Education nudging us for something, and we certainly are free to revise it.
Thank you. Anybody else with any comments on the motion? Seeing none, I'm going to call for a vote on the motion. Where's my secretary?
I'm doing the roll call.
Yes, go ahead, correct.
Okay, so on the motion to postpone S3, Mr. Banta?
No.
Dr. Cohen?
Yes.
Ms. Frankel?
No.
Mr. Itkin?
Yes.
Quackenbush,
No.
Mr. Rosenberg,
No.
Mr. Santana,
Yes.
Mr. Spindell,
No.
Mr. Barbarulo.
No.
1, 2, 3. 6 noes, 3 yeses. The motion failed.
Okay, so we're just going to vote on it tonight, and then Nick will put a revised one together, and when the revised one comes together, he'll present it to the board, and everybody can have any questions about it, and then we can bring it up for another vote. Am I correct, Mr. Green?
Correct.
Thank you.
Can I just ask you if this revised one will be for the next board meeting?
I would assume it's going to be Mr. Narcia. Is that going to be for the next board meeting, May 20?
Yes.
Okay. Yes, Mark.
Thank you.
Spindell. You're welcome. Okay, getting back to anybody else with anything on the agenda items? Mr. Santana.
My time, make sure I'm staying on time. All right. Just to finish my comments on the tax increase. Yes, we use the rainy day fund, but we're going to need to replenish money from the rainy day fund, and wherever we can find an area that we can cut, we should do so without taking money out of the classroom and without affecting the quality of education of our children, which I have suggested 4 very specific throughout the year to this board, but we don't have 5 votes to say
Well,
yes.
no, what are they? I don't remember them. So why
Well,
don't you bring them up?
I'm not going to discuss it
Well,
because those
you
are
can't
closed
say
items.
you can't make a statement like that and then
Okay.
just not tell us.
Well, some of those are closed items. Okay, so you know very well as board president that I should not disclose some of them because some of them are closed items. Okay, now decimating fair loan it looks like continuing the tax increases that the people from fair loan have been receiving since 2003, 2004. Since the year 2003, 2004, this Board of Education have been voting to increase the taxes. So, I mean, every year there's a reason to raise the taxes. When are we going to find a reason to lower the taxes, to not have a tax increase? We are the board. Yes, we are. I agree with one of my fellow board members. Yes, we are the Board of Education, but we're not the Board of Taxation. And we have areas where we can find more efficiency. The district has identified those areas already, but the Board of Education have to do what we're supposed to do and make the tough decisions with 5 votes. Okay?
You got 1 minute left.
Okay. And I would ask at least 5 of you to vote no on this tax increase, because right now that's the last thing people want to hear. And if you're wealthy, you have money coming in, and even if you have financial problems, if you have a cushion to, God bless you, good for you. But there are a lot of people who are struggling out there, and I am not going to be the board member telling people to choose between their mortgage and their taxes. So I'm going to be voting no on this tax increase, because this Board of Education needs to learn from the council and find ways to reduce the expenses. That's all my comments. Thank you very much.
Okay, I'm going to pass the gavel over. First of all, there's $9 again, as we stated, that's in there. How do we not increase to $9 when it was already voted on by the public? That's number 1. Number 2, please don't compare us to the council. They're 2 different apples and oranges. They have different type of budget. We have different. We have mandates. If there are things that we can decrease, this Board of Education, in good conscience, knowing all of us, will vote for that. That's up to the administration. I trust our administration. We challenge our administration. I have. Making a comment from 2003, I wasn't on the Board of Education. So when you make a comment, general comment like that to the entire board, there were some people that weren't on the board. Even if the people were on the board, you can't make that because we all weren't here at the same time. So to not say that every Board of Education costs money, okay? Teachers get increments. Administration gets increments. You can't take that away unless they vote for it, okay? And that's not going to happen. So to say that you can't you can't have a tax increase. I would love to see no tax increase. But when the town voted $9 in referendums to bring in all-day kindergarten, expand the high school back in 2003, and then to try to alleviate overcrowding, as we are, we're going to have over 1,000 kids in TJ next year. Okay, there's nothing you can do about it. So the taxes are going. If you take the other $4 away, don't hire any of the teachers, which you're not going to have in the new classroom. Then what's going to happen is, I don't know what you're going to do, but you still got $9 that's going up. There's nothing we can do as the Board of Education. So everybody could vote how they want. I respect how they vote, but I'm just saying that there is nothing. You could shake your head, but there's nothing you could do about that. That's written in stone. That's here and it ain't going away. And by the way, I asked Ms. Bartley today when the end of the referendums ended. It ain't until 2035. I think that was the last one she sent to me. That's when the last referendum ends. So that tax increase is going to be there every year because the people of Fairlawn voted in good conscience because they wanted what's best for the children. That's it. Thank you, Mike.
Since I joined the board 13 years ago, there's been approximately 1,000 kids that have been added to our rolls. That has equaled new classrooms and new classrooms being needed. Unfortunately, we don't have as many sources of revenue as the borough. When the increase in population came to the borough did not have to add new police officers, new fire trucks, the stuff that the borough pays for. And it's a totally, as Mr. Barbarulo said, it's a totally different budget. Our budget is mostly personnel. There's special ed laws that we have to follow. There's ELL laws that we have to follow. There's other mandates that we have to follow. I'm afraid that next year there's going to be all sorts of new health and safety things we have to follow. So if we're proactive, we will pass this budget. And then if for some reason that doesn't happen, and we will, I pledge that I will vote to give it back to the taxpayer.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Any more questions so we can move on with the agenda items? Anything else? Okay. Seeing nothing, we're going to move on to the agenda items. Okay. Mr. Icken, did you get the copy of the changes? Mr. Icken, did you get the copy from Nick of the changes?
In the minutes?
Yeah, in the email. He sent it late, but did you get a copy? Because I'm going to read it anyway, but I just didn't know if you got it.
No, I don't see it in my inbox.
It should be in your inbox. He sent it like around 5:35 or something like that. He sent it to me and you.
Oh, I'm sorry. You sent it to my personal email, not to my board email.
Well, that was his mistake. No problem. All right. So we're going to go over, I'm going to need a motion for G1 and G2. But before we do that, Mr. Icken brought up a couple discrepancies or mistakes in the minutes when he read them. So from the 312 closed sessions, I'm just going to read the change, and then I just need a motion when I do all the changes that we make these changes. That's all we have to do. That's how you do it with Robert's rules. Okay, so there was.
Wait, is it? I'm sorry. Did you say closed session minutes?
No.
Oh.
Yeah, the closed session. Yeah, the closed session minutes.
But Paul, is he allowed to read closed session minutes in public?
No.
So, well, it's only about the. Well, there was a change. There was a change in the numbers. That's it. Can I say that?
Yeah, that's sufficient.
That's all it was. It was just a change in the numbers between. There was no amount. With the two different options that they gave us regarding the money for coronavirus. So they put the second amount in. Okay. Is that okay? I can say it that way? Okay.
Yeah.
And the minutes, it was supposed to be attached. They weren't attached, but now they are. Okay. And the last thing was the minutes from the 3/16 preliminary budget meeting. Ms. Quackenbush made an excellent suggestion to put on the website the link to the state website that shows all the prior budgets. It wasn't in there. and they're going to add it to the website. Now it's stated that we're going to add it to the website, this link.
It's already on the website.
I understand. I'm just
Yeah,
saying
so-
is the change we made. Am I correct, Mr. Icken? Correct, right? I'm correct? Okay. And we also made a statement, on the voting record, there was a correction that Mr. Icken had said he abstained on item P as in Paul 6B, but they thought it was B6B, and there was actually no B6B, but we made that change. Okay. And the last thing is we will make sure that in all future special action meetings, we bring it up. It will not be on the agenda. There'll be no new business items for public and for the Board of Education. Okay. So I need a motion to accept. I need a motion to amend the minutes of
So moved.
okay of March 12th and April 16th. I got a okay. We got a motion, a second. Okay. All in favor? No, we'll do roll call. We'll do roll call. Correct.
March 12th, March 16th, and April 16th, all of them.
Yes, all the minutes. Okay. You got that?
March 12th and April 16th.
March
right?
12th. No, March 12th, March 16th, and April 16th.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So we have a motion on it. Mr. Green, do I got to do individual or can I do all in favor?
It can be all in favor as long as Ms. Bartley can determine what the vote is.
Okay. Yes, Mr. Narcia.
I think, Wilkin, you're muted. Let me unmute you. I think he had a question
Okay.
or a discussion. He wanted to know about a discussion.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm reading and
Before
I'm
we
reading.
vote, don't we have a discussion before we vote? Or questions?
I just said any questions on the motion. I just said it. So you got a question?
I have a comment.
Okay, go ahead.
I think it would be a bet. I don't know if it's allowed for us to do this, but
Yes, it is. By Robert's rules, it is.
let me finish, please. Okay. I think what I would like for us to do instead, when something like this happen, is to postpone approving the minutes rather than doing it in the last minute like this, because I don't think it's a best practice for us as a board, and I don't have those printed updates, but that's it.
I got the update, printed update. Okay.
You have it. I don't have it.
Well, can I finish? Like you, okay. I got the printed update at 5:30. Okay. That's when I got it. And he sent it to me and Mr. Icken. Second of all, according to Robert's rules, you can do this at any time. Okay. So it's just an amendment of the minutes. It's a couple language things that we just changing. We're not rewriting the minutes. It's just a couple things that were left out or mistakenly put in. That's all. But if the people don't want to vote on it, that's fine with me. So any other questions or discussion on the motion? Let's call roll call. Let's do roll call.
And motion to,
This is the motion to amend the minutes from 3/12, 3/16, and April 16th.
Mr. Banta,
Yes.
Dr. Cohen,
Yes.
Mrs. Frankel,
Yes.
Mr. Aitken,
Yes.
Ms. Quackenbush,
Yes.
Mr. Rosenberg,
Yes.
Mr. Santana. Mr. Santana, you're
Nick, you
muted.
got him on mute.
No, I don't. He keeps muting.
Yes.
Nick, you can, Wilkin, you can't keep muting yourself now.
I don't touch it.
Okay.
Mr. Spindell,
Yes.
Mr. Barbarulo.
Yes. Okay.
Motion carried.
All right. So now I need a motion to accept the rest of the minutes, G1 and G2.
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Any questions on the motion? Okay. Roll call, please.
Mr. Banta,
Yes.
Dr. Cohen,
Yes.
Mrs. Frankel,
Yes.
Mr. Aitken,
Yes.
Ms. Quackenbush,
Yes.
Mr. Rosenberg,
Yes.
Mr. Santana,
Yes.
Mr. Spindell,
Yes.
Mr. Barbarulo.
Yes.
Point of order.
Yeah.
during these motions, didn't we already have board questions on the agenda?
No,
So,
these are questions on the motions. You always
Okay.
have to ask for comments and questions on motions
All
before
right.
you vote on them. No, I'm just saying, if I call a motion, if someone goes a motion, then you can. Okay, S1, retirement of Mr. Hockheppel. I need a motion for S1 through 3.
so moved.
Second.
Any? That's it. I don't need a motion. It's just roll call. I'm sorry. I apologize. I didn't need a motion. I apologize. My bad. Roll call S1 through 3.
Mr. Banta,
Yes,
No, I was correct, by the way. Yes.
you are correct.
You were
Thank you.
correct.
I know. I just a little.
You were incorrect that you were incorrect.
Okay. Go ahead. Go ahead, Pat.
Yes, but no, I'm sorry on S3.
Okay. No problem.
Sorry.
Ms. Frankel,
Yes,
Mr. Aitken,
Yes on S1, S2, no on S3.
Ms. Quackenbush,
Yes.
Mr. Rosenberg,
Yes.
Mr. Santana,
No on S3, yes on everything else.
Mr. Spindell,
Yes.
Mr. Barbarulo.
Yes. Can I have a motion for E1 through 3?
So moved.
second,
Okay.
gotta be quick.
Any questions? No? Okay. Let's, can we have roll call, please?
Mr. Banta,
Yes,
Dr. Cohen,
Yes.
Mrs. Frankel,
Yes,
Mr. Aitken,
Yes.
Ms. Quackenbush,
Yes.
Mr. Rosenberg,
Yes.
Mr. Santana,
Yes.
Mr. Spindell,
Yes.
Mr. Barbarulo.
Yes. I need a motion for P1. Hold on. P1 through 6. P1 through 6.
so moved.
second,
Roll call, please.
Mr. Banta,
yes,
Dr. Cohen,
Yes.
Mrs. Frankel,
Yes,
Mr. Aitken,
Yes.
Ms. Quackenbush,
Yes.
Mr. Rosenberg,
Yes.
Mr. Santana,
Yes.
Mr. Spindell,
Yes.
Mr. Barbarulo.
Yes.
Unanimous.
Could I have a motion for SE1 through 3?
so
Yeah,
moved.
so moved. Second.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Banta,
yes,
Dr. Cohen,
Yes.
Mrs. Frankel,
Yes,
Mr. Aitken,
Yes.
Ms. Quackenbush,
Yes.
Mr. Rosenberg,
Yes.
Mr. Santana,
Yes.
Mr. Spindell,
Yes.
Mr. Barbarulo.
Yes. Can I have a motion for F1 through 5?
So moved.
second,
Roll call, please.
Mr. Banta,
yes,
Dr. Cohen,
Yes, but no on F5A.
Mrs. Frankel,
yes,
Mr. Aitken,
No on F5A, yes on everything else.
Ms. Quackenbush,
Yes.
Mr. Rosenberg,
Yes.
Mr. Santana,
No on F5A. And yes on everything else.
Mr. Spindell,
Yes.
Mr. Barbarulo.
Yes. Okay. All right, seeing none. At this point, we're gonna go to, are we gonna vote on, Mr. Green, are we voting on addendum 1 now since we already had the closed session regarding?
Yes, Mr. President, we should.
Okay, so I need a motion for addendum 1 for the approval of the HIB reports and investigations.
Motion.
Second,
Okay. Can I have roll call, please?
Mr. Banta,
Yes.
Dr. Cohen,
Yes.
Ms. Frankel,
Yes.
Mr. Itkin,
Yes.
Ms. Quackenbush,
yes.
Mr. Rosenberg,
Yes.
Mr. Santana,
Yes.
Mr. Spindell,
Yes.
Mr. Barbarulo.
Yes. Okay, now at this point, we're going to open up the comments, public comments to new business. I am going to turn the meeting over to Elise for about 2 minutes because I have to go to the little boys' room. So, okay, but it's up to public comments now for new business.
I opened it up a couple minutes ago too, so it's been open.
Are there comments?
No.
I'm going to excuse myself for 1 minute if I could. Otherwise, I'm going to run out of power.
Yeah.
Me too.
So do we just go to board comments then? If there's no public comments, should we close the portion of public comments?
Hold on a second.
I just didn't hear anything. It's quiet. No.
Sorry. Poll was locked.
Nick, Mr. Garcia, do we have any comments, public
Yeah.
comments? Okay, can we?
Okay, I just unmuted everybody for a second.
Okay.
So far, one question from Arena Kayakis. One, with some trips having been paid for already, what is the plan for refunds? We are working on that. That was part of money we put aside for the contingency fund as well. So we are reimbursing families for that. However, I ask once again your patience because we are actually going, and Mr. Green, our attorney, has been going after some of the companies to say, like, you know, we didn't just cancel because we didn't want to go there. We canceled because the state shut down and you won't allow us to go there, such as a Florida trip or a Virginia trip. So we don't feel that we should only get 50% back or something. We should get everything back because it wasn't that we canceled to go somewhere else. So we are working on that. And thank you. The second thing is, will there be another time to retrieve whatever items and students have left at school, drop off school books before next school year? So the second part of that person's question, yes. The way it's going, if you do have medicine, please email your school principal and nurse, and we can arrange to have the medicine given back to you. But as far as picking things up from lockers and books, the Department of Education and the Department of Health still have concerns about that. So we are talking about if, for example, school gets shut down for the school year, we are going to work on how do we get those items back. It may be a controlled drop off. It may be, you know, come pick them up outside the school at this time, or we leave them on your doorstep or something like that. We're not really sure. We're going to work that out, but we're waiting for more guidance from the Department of Health and the Department of Education. However, one of the Zoom webinars I was on this week recommended not allowing people into the school because it would be counterproductive of why schools are closed. This one is... All right. This one is Julie Mayhem. Thank you to the board members who voted in favor of the budget and ensuring our students are continuing to get the best of what Fairland's Ed system has to offer. We also want to thank you, each and every Fairland teacher, staff member, educator, administrator, and board member. We could not be happier with the support, creativity, time, and effort that has gone into this transition and distance learning program that Mrs. Vitala and her colleagues are providing to our kindergarten son at Milnes under the guidance of Ms. Primavera. It has been nothing short of impressive. We are aware that each teacher has varying options to fulfill what is expected of distance learning, and what our child and his peers are receiving is top notch. Mrs. Vitala has gone above and beyond the scaffolding to differentiate our son's assignments to his skill level and has worked extremely closely with us. As a class, they receive daily pre-recorded morning meetings, daily lessons for each subject matter, and consistent contact and feedback. We are grateful to all the teachers and to all of you as we as a community navigate this challenging situation. Thank you, Julie. Ryan Stern, I would like to thank the teachers and staff for implementing Google Classroom in the K-2 grade levels. It has made a huge difference with our second grader. Our child is loving the new setup, and so are we. We know the training for these teachers on this platform was done quickly, and we appreciate it. So far, that is it. Hold on. Is the REACH program available now from ALBA? There's a link on a distance learning plan for REACH activities. We designated a link there. We also put activities on there for all students to try at home and push themselves as well. So there is, I ask that you go to the REACH page of the distance learning plan as well. There are contacts for our REACH staff members if you wanted to reach out to them as well. So that is it for now.
That's it?
That's all I see for now. Just making sure. I don't want to miss anybody. Just, yeah. So far, 5 new, 1, 2, 3, 4. The 5th comment was me just testing to make sure it worked.
Okay. All right, at this point, before we go to the board comments under new business, we forgot to vote on addendum 2 to accept the, can you read it, Brooke, or Pat can read it? Is that the addendum of the?
Paul Green, do you?
I do not have it in front of me, actually.
Okay.
I don't have.
You need the settlement agreement number? I do.
Yeah.
I have it.
So we're voting on a settlement agreement that we discussed in closed session, correct?
Yes.
Correct.
Okay.
An employment separation agreement.
Actually, there is no settlement agreement number on it.
Well, it's the, we can refer to it as the employment separation agreement on file in the office of the Director of Human Resources as discussed in closed session.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions on that? No? Could I have roll call, please?
You didn't have a motion and second yet.
Yes, I need a motion and a second to vote on addendum
So
2.
moved.
Second.
Okay. All right. Roll call. Pat?
I can
All right,
I can do it, Pat, if you want.
I'm okay. I got it
Okay.
here.
Okay.
Mr. Banta,
Yes.
Dr. Cohen,
Yes.
Mrs. Frankel,
Yes.
Mr. Itkin,
Yes.
Ms. Quackenbush,
Yes.
Mr. Rosenberg,
Yes.
Mr. Santana,
Yes.
Mr. Spindell,
Yes.
Mr. Barbarulo.
Yes. Okay. All right.
Ron, 1 second. One more comment did come in as I was locking it.
Okay, go ahead.
Ratner, his son has really enjoyed the math REACH seminar so far. Mrs. Yar has been wonderful. So thank you, David, for the comment.
Okay, good. Thank you. All right. At this point, we're going to open up the meeting to board comments under new business. So anybody that's got Emily's got her hand up. So Emily, you're on the clock. Emily, as they say in the NFL draft, you're on the clock.
I'll make it brief. Okay.
No, I'm not. I'm just teasing you. I'm just saying you got your 5 minutes.
I appreciate that. So there was a lot of comments and questions from community members about the distance learning and virtual learning. And I just want to say as a board member and as a parent myself, just to echo some of Mr. Norcia's responses of how important it is to be in touch with the principals around specific ideas you have, things that are working well, things that are not working well. I really feel like our principals are such an asset in our district. They're super professional, super good at what they do, and are really well trained to work with parents. And so I just want to encourage, sometimes I've learned as a board member it can be complicated for things to move quickly enough for a huge entire district, but there is a certain nimbleness at a school level, especially under the crisis circumstance, that might be possible. So just to really encourage parents to leverage their relationship with principals, and of course the teachers themselves too, but really the principal is the school leader, and encourage you to give them positive feedback and ideas for where you see room for improvement as well as it concerns your child and their grade level. I would like to ask the board to consider a work session, perhaps a week in advance of our May 28th board meeting, especially because we expect to get more information from Trenton on what's to be expected for the rest of the school year, for the summer, and potentially for the fall. And I think it would be good for us as a board to be able to receive information, discuss decision points, hear administration rationale on certain things in response to what will be shared likely before May 15th. But we don't have any other meeting, I believe, besides our full board business meeting for the month of May. So I wanted to raise that as a suggestion for good planning as for our group to be able to move forward under these trying circumstances, truly as a group.
That's no problem, Emily. I agree with you. I will discuss with Mr. Norcia, and we'll try to pick a date that's good for everybody. And, we'll probably wait a little longer just so, like you said, we have enough information and everything else like that. So, okay. But thank you for your comments. I appreciate it. Anybody else? Cindy.
I just wanted to tell the board and the administration about an incident that happened last week with me and this whole distance learning thing. I'm friends with someone on Facebook, and they reached out to me asking if I was still on the board. I said yes, and they proceeded to tell me an issue that they were having. So I immediately told them that they should contact the principal, that I felt the frustration and the pain that she was going through. So she did. And then I also told her that if she didn't get an answer quick enough, because her child has an IEP, that she should reach out to Nick and Camille. And before I ended my session with this woman, Nick and Miss Camille DeFranco emailed this mom back. And I just want you to know, Nick and Camille, that she was so very happy about your quick response, and her fears were alleviated. And just to echo what Emily said, you have to reach out in order for something to happen. And I understand we're not going to get instantaneous results like that. I'm just very grateful that you were able to help her, and so quick. And she thanked me, and she thanked you, Nick, and she thanked Camille. So I just wanted to say thank you on behalf of this mom.
Thank you. Thank you, Cindy. Thanks for sharing.
Anybody else? Mike.
I'm gonna echo Emily and Cindy, and I'm just gonna go one step further. I want to personally thank all the teachers of Fairlawn who have stepped up and have really, being a teacher myself, this environment is very difficult. And I think, and speaking to my daughter-in-law and stuff about the younger kids especially, it is very, very difficult. We don't know what is going on in people's homes. When we teach at school, we know when a kid is having a problem. When we teach virtually, as a teacher, we don't know that. We don't know what's going on in the home. We don't know if someone's lost a loved one necessarily, and that's why they're not logging on. Everybody has a different situation. We don't know if the parents are working, so to help their kids, which obviously the youngest kids need help, no matter what, no matter how many Zoom calls there are, and no matter how many recorded lessons there are, the youngest kids need our help as parents. And you don't know what the situation is when the parents have to work from home, what's going on, if there's deaths in the family, which that is a lot of. And I want to thank the teachers for what they're doing, and thank the parents for taking it easy a little bit, knowing that every single person in Farallon has a different situation right now. And it's just an unfortunate, we're in an unfortunate situation. And I know some people, we get upset when we're in unfortunate situations that we can't control. It's human nature to get upset and lash out. And we need to, all be weary of that this is happening. And also, please check on your children, the mental health of your children, because we thank all of our first responders and our essential workers, but I personally think some of the people we have to thank is all our students, because they are learning in a different way. And I don't call it distance learning, I call it crisis learning. And I know me as a teacher, I'm getting better at it every week, just like Mr. Norcia is saying the teachers of Farallon are doing it every week, getting better and better. And that's what I'm actually hearing from people. I think the number one first person
Got 1 minute left, Mike, just to give you a heads up. Just your heads up, that's all. No problem, keep going.
I think the first person that a parent should go to if there's a problem is the teacher. Let the teacher try and fix the problem. If the teacher doesn't fix the problem, then go to the principal and on up and do what you have to do. But speak to the teachers, because they're the first line of defense, always. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Mr. Santana, Gene, do you have your hand up? I mean, Wilkins going to go first.
No, just moving.
Okay, all right, Gene, I got you, Mr. Santana. Go ahead. You got to unmute yourself.
He could go before me. That's
he
fine.
doesn't want to say nothing. He got his hand.
No, I just moving my hand.
He was moving his hand.
Okay.
Go ahead.
You can unmute
I wanted
yourself.
to say, I wanted to say that, the parents are doing an amazing job helping their children. Parents are working from home. Parents are laid off. Parents have reduced income. Parents are stressed. Parents are spending $1,500 a month on groceries. We have parents with many, many children. The parents are doing an amazing job. It takes behind every dedicated student, there is a parent, there's a father or a mother or a grandparent, a guardian who's there supporting them. And grandparents are stepping up to the plate and being there for the grandchildren. But we have to do a little more than thinking. We also have to help them when they're down, and part of that is where I'm gonna request respectfully that, to the best of the abilities and to however that these committees can do, for the education committee to study the impact of this crisis on student achievement, not from an educational perspective. It's not the same. The computer will never replace a teacher. So there's going to be consequences. There are consequences right now. And I feel that, for example, as a parent, I feel the work the kids are doing at home is so challenging, but maybe it's not so challenging, but it's because of the need for that teacher. Those teachers, and we have amazing teachers. The teachers in Farallon are worth every penny the taxpayers pay. And I would like to know also, I would like to request respectfully if the finance committee also, because we have to take care of the yin and the yang, look into the educational impact of this, staying at home and online learning will have in the curriculum, because the curriculum, there's going to be repercussions, obviously. And I would like the education committee to start looking at it now, because we want to be proactive. And I would like to make a request respectfully to the finance committee. I would like to know if the finance committee, which all committees of the board are comprised of the district and board members, if they can come up, if the district already has a plan, hey, we don't need it. But if the finance committee can prepare a plan for potential loss of aid from the state, from potential loss of aid from the state, not a layoff plan, not people are going to lose their job, not teachers are going to be a plan for potential loss of aid, so we are not caught off guard. I like being proactive, not reactive. And by having a finance committee look into the money in case that the state does what they are advertising everywhere, which is less money for the school districts, we have a plan, and the education committee also, I think those are reasonable requests. And, I would like to know what, if those requests can be taken and given serious consideration, because that's what we need. We need leadership right now. And we need to make sure that, we are ahead of the game, because what's coming, could be very unfortunate, what's coming in the future.
Is that it?
Mm-hmm.
Are you done? Okay. Thank you.
Mr. President, thank you.
You're welcome. No problem. Gene, you have your hand up?
Ron, you got me?
Yeah, I got you.
Yeah, I got my hand up this time.
Okay. That's what I thought.
Okay. No, I agree with my fellow board member. There should be contingency plans in place in case, the worst happens. However, those contingency plans should not be made by the Board of Education. The educational contingency plans, financial, educational, and otherwise, should be made by the administration and then discussed with the board. The board should not be the one making plans on how to work in a $2 million cut. The Board of Education should not be the ones making the plan of how to challenge children in various kinds of instruction. We should be involved once the plan is made, and then we can have a discussion about it. So yes, and I'm sure, in fact, I know for a fact that there are discussions going on in the administration, and that's where those discussions should be. Once those plans are put into place, then they're shared with the board, and we put in our 2 cents. We do not start from scratch making plans on how to do these things. Thank you.
Anybody else? Mr. Itkin. You're on mute. Okay, there you go.
First of all, thank you to Ron and thank you to Brooke for putting the link to the state website already. Thank you. I just checked it's there.
No problem.
Secondly,
by the way, not to interrupt you, Vlad, but when you emailed me last night, I forgot whether I did it right away or not, but I remembered then I did it. So I just wanted to let you know. Go ahead.
Secondly, another small thing about the website. On the portion of the website where we talk about the role of the Board of Education, we list committees, and that list of the committees is way, way outdated. I suggest that instead maybe we should put a link there to the actual committee assignment. This way we don't have to update committees in several different places.
Okay.
Where? I'm on a website, role of Board of Education.
Yes.
The list. Oh, I see what you're saying. I thought you meant the committee members were on there. I got you. I'll take care of this.
Okay. There you go. That's it?
Yep.
Okay. Thank you. That was simple. Okay. Anybody else? Go ahead, Wilkin.
Very briefly, yes, I don't have a problem with what Mr. Banta stated. I just would like the full board to be united on this. And, you know, if the administration will have that plan, that's fine. You know, if that's not within the finance committee or the education committee, that's fine. But I would like the board to give that direction to the superintendent, because, you know, we got to be prepared. You know, we have to have something in place, because, hope for the best, plan for the worst. You know, so do we need a motion, or do we need a?
No.
You don't have,
no motion.
you don't need,
No
you don't need a
motion.
motion on it.
That's their
We're
job.
working on it.
That's their job.
We're working on it.
They're on it.
The education impact of this, and also the financial
Yes.
plan.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
When we're ready to report out, we will report out on it.
Thank you. I did not. This
yes.
is the first time I'm hearing it.
So I'm handing the gavel to Miss Franco. She got the gavel now. Okay. No, your ideas are very good, Mr. Santana, but you have to understand something. You have to show, like all we do, we have to trust the administration. One thing I will say about Mr. Norcia and our administration, they are very proactive. Because, by the way, just a point of information to everybody, out of 21 counties, correct me, Nick, if I'm wrong, but I think I'm correct. Out of 21 counties in the state, Bergen County was the only one that was proactive with all their plans. And we were one of the first ones that were way ahead of people in Bergen County. So they're constantly looking at things, and sometimes they just don't report to us because they're not ready to report to us. But I know they're always constantly looking at everything. But I want to, and I appreciate, Vlad's suggestions and everything else. But I want to thank the administration, because, again, as Mr. Norcia said to all of us, this is a difficult time, and every day we're on the phone together because things change. And we really don't even know what next year is going to look like. Okay, but one of the last thing I wanted to say, it is extremely, extremely tough on the children. And I agree with Mike. And, you hear all over town and all different people, they like this, this one's good for this family, but it's not good for this family. Some kids can't stay in front of a computer for 4 hours, so on and so forth. I feel for the 4th and 5th graders with their moving up ceremonies, and I feel for the 8th graders. But let's all keep in mind the seniors are taking a beating. Okay, they are losing so much of their senior year, which is their golden year, and a lot of them are I've talked to a lot of them, and they're taking it because they understand it's part of life. But you know what? And I'm not saying it because my son's one of them. I actually have 2 seniors this year, one in college and one in high school, so they're both taking it, and it's sad. But we got to keep that in mind too for the seniors as we're going along this last month and a half. Everything that they're losing that they don't get a chance at, and I'm grateful that the administration is looking at different things for them. I did speak to Mr. Norcia the other day about their college acceptance, of maybe getting them all to take pictures with their sweatshirts on, and we could post it on the website and stuff because it's usually up in the high school. So they're trying to do as much as they can to make it as normal as possible. But the administration is being very proactive on a lot of things, and trust me, if they're not, I'm yelling at Nick to make sure you do this, make sure you do that, make sure you do that. And I do yell at Brooke too. So, thank you. That's all I wanted to say. Mike, go ahead.
Real quick, there was an education committee meeting last night. You'll get the minutes within a couple of days. It's nothing that's important for this meeting. So
I waited in my email all day today.
I'm sorry.
No, I kid. No,
and the other thing is that, I know, and even I even know this from last night's education committee meeting, that the administration is on top of these things. There are discussions on these things all the time. It would not be the education committee's purview to figure out how much the kids lost in education this year. And I think you're not going to know that until next year. You're not going to know that till they get back to school, and hopefully they get back to school and the teachers evaluate the kids and see what happened. And again, like I said before, every kid has a different story right now. Every family has a different story. I feel bad for all of the families out there that are struggling right now, and all the kids that are struggling. Tragedy in Demarest yesterday, and we have to really, the mental health bit is the biggest thing we have to worry about, not just with the kids, but our job is the kids, but our adults too, because everybody has a different skin in this game, but no one is enjoying the situation that we're in right now. But it is what it is, and we have to deal with it. And I think we're dealing with it. Thank you, Farallon.
Thank you. All right. Seeing anybody else got anything? Last things? Okay.
Our next meeting is still on May 28th, right?
Next meeting's May 28th, but we are going to discuss about a work session. If anything else comes up that we need to, of course, we'll notify everybody for a meeting. And at this point, I need a motion to close.
Motion to adjourn.
So moved. Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Hands up. Thumbs up. All right.
Thumbs up.
Everybody have a nice weekend. Stay